Bill sliding in with his coffee right on time.
That's the way you do it.
I'll hopefully be switching over here right now.
We got Patrick back today. Big day, big day.
All right, I'm switching to computer.
Switching to computer.
From phone to computer. Oh, much better angle.
I did buy a phone case with a kickstand though, so that does help when I need to do things like that.
Tom Brady. What? Best pass in his career? Anybody? Is that the word now? Oh,
have you ever seen it? Have you ever seen anything like that?
No.
Disrespecting the trophy like that?
Oh, wait, I didn't see that one. I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see that?
That was
through the Lombardi Trophy.
Okay, you probably aren't the only one waking up this morning, and you have not seen some, if not all, of the celebration from Tom Brady. It's on my social media. I retweeted a dual angle of a toss of the Lombardi Trophy from one boat to the next boat, and even the one that I show isn't even the best one. There's another angle from maybe another boat, or just like looking straight on between the two boats where you can really see how far it gets tossed. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that one probably got lost in the shuffle between the stumbling off the dock like it was 2 a.m. and 5 points. But
yeah, that was the one I saw.
How far do you think he threw it? Like,
let's say it 10 feet. 10,
Yeah.
12, 15 max, right?
It was not, when I saw the notification that said throws Lombardi Trophy, I was thinking their boats are basically next to it, like opposite ways. He just tossed it over the side. There was a legitimate chance that was going to get dropped into the river.
Oh my goodness!
I'd say there's a better chance that got dropped than it got caught. That was amazing.
I mean, it's heavy, I would imagine.
Right?
Catching that is not easy.
You have to be feeling good to have that, to want to have that thrown at you, don't you? I mean, you got to be in a different mindset.
Who's the player who called it?
I'm not sure. It's not Gronk, is it?
It does look like that was the wide receiver / Gronk boat, though.
Right, maybe Scotty Miller.
I was thinking either Scotty Miller or Cameron Brate.
Yeah,
couldn't necessarily tell how large the human was.
That's the first time I've seen that video. I watched the other one last night.
Yeah, the other one went viral. Tom tweeted it too. Yeah.
Him hopping off the boat. Yeah, at least he had a good sense of humor about it, right? I'll give him credit for that one.
Something he's just
avocado.
He's the best 43-year-old Instagrammer in the world. I mean, did you see the Instagram story he had on Sunday night?
No, I did not. What was it?
Well, it was like, for people that don't know, Instagram story is like, it's just like a 24-hour thing. You can just put a little thing up. But he put a picture of essentially all of his teammates with a song attached and then some things of him. I'll have to pull up the exact details, but he is, I don't know if he's running his own social media, but he's incredible at it.
Oh, of course he's not running his own. Get out of here. That would be shocking.
He might be. He might just have somebody telling him.
He might be it. So he might be it somewhere. He might be setting up for the next phase. I'm not sure what he's doing, but yeah, I saw the other one. I did not see the tossing of the Lombardi Trophy over the water until just now. Even every time I'm watching that, my stomach like shrinks a little, going, oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
I've watched it 6 times, and every time I watch it, I'm like, I don't think it's going to make it. This is not going to end well. Oh, it did make it. Whew.
I also saw, I think it was Antonio Brown, maybe in Raymond James Stadium on the horse, carrying around the trophy. They're having some fun with this trophy.
Devin
White.
Was
it? Devin White.
Yeah, he's a big-time horse guy.
That makes more sense. I just saw the video quickly this morning. Good for the Bucks having some fun with the trophy. This reminds me of your hockey guys, Patrick. This is the tradition with the Stanley Cup, right? Ovechkin's been the best at it, right? I mean, he did it for months, it seems like.
All summer,
with the Capitals a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's defined as the lost summer for Ovi. He doesn't remember it. He remembers winning, and then the next thing he knew, it was preseason. He's like, oh, Ovi, it's time to start.
Yeah,
Chris
Chris just
also-
mentioned it. The Patriots are the only team that disrespects the Lombardi Trophy like they do. I mean, there is a dented Lombardi Trophy in Foxborough in the Patriots facility right now because Gronk hit a baseball with it.
He said he bunted with it.
Yeah.
Hey, I give these guys some credit because I'm the first to come on here and say, Nick Saban, lighten up, man. How about smile with the trophy, enjoy it? It's a whole point to work and put in all that sacrifice and effort, and you got to celebrate and enjoy it too. So good for Tampa Bay. I mean, you kind of get this feeling with Bruce Arians, right? That he encourages this in a big way. I saw another great tweet last night that said something like, it had 3 pictures. It was Brady stumbling, and it said, like, freshman year. And then I think it had Gronk partying with his shirt off, but seemingly in control, said senior year. And then it had Arians just kind of sitting by himself, holding up a Bud Light, saying, coming back for the homecoming celebration as an alum or something like
Saw
that.
that his drink is the he goes with the Seagrams and Crown. That's his poison.
I'm sorry?
Arians or
Yeah, Bruce Arians. That's his
Oh.
that's his poison.
He mixes both of them together?
Like ginger ale and
yeah, Seagrams.
But not the Seagrams. Oh, gotcha. That's like basically ginger ale. Gotcha.
yeah.
I got confused there. What is it?
Ginger.
Seagram's 7? Isn't that?
That's
Isn't
a what gin?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
what I
it's
was
gin.
getting
Yeah.
confused on. Ooh, and it is 6:11 in the morning, and we're talking about TikToks. Chris gave us the heads up that Tom Brady's TikToks are good. The Instagram, the celebration of Tampa Bay and the Super Bowl trophy yesterday, headlining the sports world, no doubt. Also, we got the transfer destination for Clemson linebacker Mike Jones Jr. to LSU. Did that surprise either one of you guys? Patrick, I know you keep tabs on the LSU program, and Bill, being the resident recruiting nerd, I feel like the transfer portal is all part of that situation these days.
I don't think it's too surprising. I mean, I don't know how you can be surprised when a blue chip player goes to a school like LSU that just consistently reloads. I mean, they just did the same thing with Jabril Cox, who I think is a kind of similar player to Mike Jones from what I saw. 1 year from North Dakota State, and he's going to be a top 50 pick in the NFL draft. So LSU needs linebackers, and Mike Jones has played a lot of football. They will have an experienced guy that can presumably just step right in and start from day one. So they needed the help, and it's a good spot for him, I would think.
I had not
Bill
really
and-
I'd not paid attention to his kind of transfer portal recruiting. So it makes sense, but at the same time, I didn't know LSU was in the market for a transfer linebacker. I don't know what LSU's needs are for this offseason. Patrick's probably got a better feel for that. But, you know, the way LSU's season went last year, I hadn't really paid attention to what they are in the market for. You know, in terms of player personnel, honestly, I think when they had the number, did they end up 4 or 5 in the recruiting rankings?
I'm not sure. Just always where they are. They're in the market for probably a whole new set of coaches, it would appear.
Let's see that. They're under investigation.
And they're not good.
803-404-6100, the number into the program if you would like to join. USC women's basketball back in action at home tonight, taking on Missouri. We'll talk. We'll continue to discuss the men's program coming off that tough loss to Alabama the other night that dominated our conversation yesterday. And saw Shane Beamer on with Andy Staples yesterday on an internet show, the podcast, however you want to put it. Some interesting comments, and big fan of Andy Staples and his work with the Athletic and college football. So we'll get into a couple of those topics as we roll on as well. Just getting started. Hope your Thursday morning's off to a good start, and you're not feeling quite like Tom Brady and some of the Tampa Bay Bucks after last night's big celebration, or yesterday's celebration on the boats there in Tampa. It's the early game. It's 107.5. Agreed, Lee. Agreed. And what did the tweet say about avocado? Did it say avocado tequila?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's good. I do wonder what he was actually drinking. Probably like vodka waters.
Everything?
Well, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think
we're
Tom
gonna take
Brady.
whatever got put in front of him, buddy.
I don't know. I don't think Tom Brady drinks beers.
No, I'm with you on that. I don't think he does.
Too many calories.
I think I've actually seen something with him about that. There's some kind of beer chugging thing he did a while back.
Oh, well, he did chug a beer on maybe like
Kimmel?
Conan or Kimmel.
It
Yeah,
was
one of the
Kimmel.
late night shows.
Yeah. Somebody was
quickly.
he didn't drink beer or something.
It was
Right,
a solid jug.
We got the 4-box working in the live stream. Nice work, Jen.
The who?
Patrick, you see Ohio State's already got for the 2022 class 3 5-star commitments.
No.
Quinn Ewers, Akeem Singletary, a cornerback out of Jacksonville, Florida, and Caleb Burton, a wide receiver out of
Texas?
Del Valle, Texas. Yeah.
I think, was that kid not committed to UT?
Quinn Ewers was. I don't know about
Well, I
the
know.
other.
But were they not a joint deal?
I don't know. One's from South Lake, Texas. I was looking at recruiting rankings already. They've got Ohio State's got 5 guys already committed in the top 40. Incredible.
Just checking out the text line here. Yeah, Seagram 7. That's why I got confused. Billy, it's whiskey. I don't know where you got it was.
There's what's the ginger ale? There's Seagram's ginger ale. It's the really kind of dark green bottle.
Yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just search Seagram's. Seagram. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Seagram's and Canada Dry are the 2 big ones.
Yeah, because I was drinking Seagram's first when they're at the separation. That was the ginger ale became the beverage of choice to mix with whatever the alcohol, whatever bourbon or brown.
All right, here we go.
Right, you guys are up.
A little less than 2 weeks. We'd love to have your help at a blood drive in honor of National Heart Month. It's Wednesday, February 24th, 2 weeks from yesterday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., right there in downtown Columbia, 2751 Bull Street. Pre-registration, rapid pass preferred. Walk-ins are welcome. More information can be found on our website, 1075thegame.com. Again, that's a blood drive, Wednesday, February 24th from 10 until 4. Cool Care Heating and Air text line this morning. KT from Lexington first in at 5 a.m. on the dot. KT says, every time I listen to Coach Beamer speak, the more I'm impressed. He sounds so genuine and honest. After the last 5 years of hearing Coach speak cover up mishaps and problems, it's a breath of fresh air. I hope he reaches his goals here. Bill, I feel like that is the prevailing thought amongst Gamecock fans. Both of those things. Sounding better and hoping better at the same time, because that is only going to be looked at as favorably as it is for a certain period of time, and then it's all about results on the field. And I mean, the results actually probably start as soon as 6 weeks when spring football starts to start seeing some change and some results, because you and Patrick both got to the same place, and I feel like a lot of Gamecock fans did just this past football season, maybe even the off season before, when we would hear from Will Muschamp at all, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to hear it anymore. Don't want to hear it. Because when he gave Gamecock fans, everyone, the most talented and most competitive depth roster for a team out there, and then it did not perform a couple of years ago, I think that's where any kind of benefit of the doubt from even his own fan base was lost. And so it's definitely a big change. Wouldn't you agree? It's a big shift where Gamecock fans are now willing to give the benefit of the doubt, or certainly hearing their coach in a favorable light with what we've heard from Shane Beamer in the first couple of months on the job.
I think it's new hope. I mean, I don't want to say, I think Beamer does have a charisma and energy to him that maybe not everybody would have had. I'm not sure. I don't know how Billy Napier would have done at this point, or Jamie Chadwell, or I don't know, you name another guy. But I think that there's just, let's just go with a new hope. Will Muschamp, I don't mean to sound like Will Muschamp went out with the intention of losing and being bad, but I think the way Will Muschamp ran his program, it's one of those things. You saw a Nick Saban coaching tree go as bad as you can. Like the Nick Saban formula of how you want to run your program, deal with the media, deal with the fan base. It works when you're winning. Nobody cares. That's fine. We're winning. All right. I don't have to talk to all the other assistant coaches. I don't have to deal with some of the booster events. I don't have to kind of be, as nice with the media. When you lose, that stuff goes out the door, right? And when you go 6-16 in 2 years, I think Patrick and I had enough after the North Carolina game, but that was because they were so built up, or Brian Edwards and Muschamp in particular, two guys built it up so much with, hey man, you buying a ticket? You coming to see this? You're gonna come say, you're gonna come watch what we got? And they go up there and they just disappoint everybody. And that was on the heels of the Virginia game, in which he didn't change quarterbacks. Like at that point, you're like, dude, stop talking. Like you just, Patrick, what was the line? I think, what was it he told us? You and I talked about it in the studio.
North Carolina? Buy a ticket.
Yeah, where he's like, he said, I think that was Brian Edwards. Muschamp got asked.
You coming to the game?
Yeah.
You coming to the game? You'll see.
And you and I were like, all right, well, this must be, man, this offense must be, what was it, the Patriots of the mid-2000s?
2007 Patriots, yeah, we're going to kill them.
Yeah, you and I were all fired up. We were
Freshman quarterback?
This kid had no chance.
Yeah.
And then you were awful. You were awful. And I think with Beamer, it's just anytime you get something new, it's exciting. He is saying all the right things. The press conferences have been really good. I think that'll continue to carry through until there's a loss. How does Shane Beamer handle adversity? How does when there's a loss, when there's something that happens that the fan base gets disappointed, how do you talk about it in the media? Will Shane Beamer go in and say, will he take the Steve Spurrier approach? Well, we should have coached better. Will he take the Muschamp approach? Patrick had a great point with Muschamp. I never really thought about it that way until Patrick said it this past fall, that Muschamp's approach is, hey, I did my job. The game plan was perfect. We didn't fit the run gaps, and the players didn't necessarily follow the game plan. And if they'd have just followed what we taught them Tuesday through Friday, the game plan was there. It was going to work. And how will Shane Beamer handle that? That's where I think it is interesting with Shane Beamer's background, having been around his dad who was very humble, Steve Spurrier, who was kind of an all shucks, like, hey, we should have just coached better. It's our fault because we put the wrong players out there. It was kind of demeaning, backhanded to the players, right? When he would tell Perry, "Oh, Perry, it's not your fault. I shouldn't have put you out there in that position."
But I'm trying to think of a time where Muschamp actually said something other than would look at the film or this is what happened. I mean, he would start his press conferences before taking questions and say, got outplayed, got outcoached. But then you start pressing him and he's like, well, yeah, the plan was to do this and they just didn't do it. We just didn't fit our runs. We were doing whatever, the overhang blitzer, whatever, overhang linebacker didn't do his job, or just he always made it seem like he had the plan. So with Beamer, yeah, isn't it all just kind of moot at this point? Like, we get the point. He's everybody loves him. He's not said anything that's changed anybody's mind, and at this point, we just keep hearing it, and the honeymoon phase is going to be over as soon as we probably see the spring game. I mean, when does the honeymoon phase actually end? When
they lose.
When they lose.
Yeah,
or
when
if
they
they
lose the game.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. And even in that, I mean, look, I say that. If they go over to Athens, because Georgia's the third game of the season.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they go over and they lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns, then maybe nobody's going to say a word. I think it'll be interesting to hear how he explains it at that time. But if they go over and get routed 52-7 and they look incompetent, and whoever the quarterback is 7 for 47 or something, and you go, boy, this Marcus Satterfield, not sure he's cut out to be like, it can unravel quickly on it, but I do think that's part of it. You know, Will Muschamp, a lot of people didn't mind him when he was 9-4, and he had beaten Michigan. I was down there for that, and the good feelings and the good vibes, and it was Rico Dowdle. Brian McClendon was the offense, or was at that point the interim offense coordinator, and I remember sitting there and Rico Dowdle said, hey, we actually ran the plays we practiced leading up to this. And everybody goes, oh, okay, well, that's the problem. It's all Kurt Roper's fault. You get to the season and you lose a few games. What's your explanation? How do you handle the media in the post-game press conference?
So, interesting question on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Panda hits us up, says, is there any chance Dak Joyner could go back and fight for the starting QB position? He has more potential than the other options. First of all, Carolina put out its spring roster just a couple of days ago. Dakereon Joyner listed as number 5 on the roster, jersey number, and as a wide receiver. Redshirt junior, 6'1", 205. That's where the official roster is. So I would have assumed if that was going to be the plan, then you list him as at least a slash wide receiver / quarterback. But maybe you don't even maybe I'm reading too much into it there. But we haven't heard any of that. Bill, I know you're a huge fan of that idea, but would you agree with reading the tea leaves at this point that would be a surprise move to put Dakereon Joyner back at quarterback?
I think it would be a surprise, but I don't think you can rule it out. I think because we still don't know what exactly Marcus Satterfield's offense entails or what they're trying to do. I think that's we just don't know. I can see a scenario where they get out there and 5 practices in. You're looking at Luke Doty, you're looking at Jason Brown, Colton Gauthier, and you're saying, well, maybe we should give one more go. Maybe we should give Dakereon Joyner a chance. Maybe the receivers under Justin Stepp take a step forward. And wasn't trying to do that on purpose. It's just where I was going. But maybe they make maybe Josh Vann all of a sudden, excuse me, under Justin Stepp is showing improvement. Maybe Rico Powers and Jakari Caldwell are making strides. Maybe Trey Smith, it looks like the guy that was highly thought of in recruiting. Maybe Amarion Brown is stepping forward. Again, a lot of maybes here, so don't think that I'm trying to hype these guys up. But what I am saying is maybe you get out there and the wide receivers look a little bit better, and you go, man, we really got to get Dakereon Joyner on the field. Give him an opportunity at quarterback, because I don't think I think Luke Doty enters the spring as the starter, but I don't think he enters the spring as the guy who has the job hands down. I think it's going to be a competition. And I'll be honest, we talk about the honeymoon portion of this. Mm-hmm. After what everybody just had to go through, and this is no offense to Colin Hill or Ryan Helinski or Luke Doty, but what everybody just had to go through with the Colin Hill situation and a transfer quarterback coming in, I'll be interested to see how Shane Beamer and Marcus Satterfield elect to handle the quarterback situation and what they want to say publicly about it during spring practice, and if they're trying to name a starter coming out of spring practice, getting ready for the fall, or if they say, nope, this quarterback battle continues on into the fall.
That nobody will want to hear that.
Exactly. Well, that might be.
Oh my gosh.
That
is
might
a nightmare situation.
Well, that's interesting. Shane Beamer was talking about that with Andy Staples a little bit in his time in Oklahoma, how Lincoln Riley I think Andy Staples was joking with him how Lincoln Riley is kind of had the reputation to keep things under wraps and not name a starting quarterback and the whole thing. And he's like going back to Kyler Murray. And Shane Beaver is kind of like, yeah, I thought the number one guy was pretty good, and you could go ahead and name him the starter and the whole thing. Here's how I see the situation. So a couple of years ago, the battle for the backup quarterback, while Jake Bentley was going into his senior season, was Ryan Helinski and DeCarrion Joyner. And Ryan Helinski won that backup battle. That's when DeCarrion Joyner was shifted out to wide receiver. Last year, Luke Doty clearly beat out Ryan Helinski, the guy that DeCarrion Joyner couldn't beat out. It only follows logic that Luke Doty has already proven enough that if you're DeCarrion Joyner, you're not excited about jumping back to that side of the ball and thinking that you can automatically just hop right in there and kind of kick a guy out, jump a guy on the depth chart. Patrick, you don't follow my logic there?
Well, I'm just thinking because maybe they knew. I mean, we thought Colin Hill was going to be the starter the whole time, but they didn't name him.
No. Who did? When? Where?
Like, I think
year?
late, like a couple months before.
No one.
Yeah, when we were talking about it a couple weeks or months ahead of the first game, we all kind of thought Colin Hill was.
I gave you guys the hot take that Colin Hill would be the starter in like June or July. Both of you were like, I don't know about that, but I was.
Yeah, but then by late July, it became pretty clear. I thought that
A couple of weeks before, maybe.
like when they announced Colin Hill, we all knew that was coming.
Right. But
So-
only within the last couple of weeks. Before the offseason had started, no one thought that. You didn't look at Colin Hill's numbers from Colorado State. Nah, come on, Bill.
Well, yeah. You
Patrick,
hoped
did
that
I
wasn't
not?
the case. No,
Did I
you
not?
actually did. That's why I was thinking. Yeah, Bill did. But that's my point. So, was it actually did Luke Doty actually beat Helinski out? Because it seemed like Helinski, or at least the way the coaches framed it, took Colin Hill to the wire for the week one starter job, even though we kind of didn't think that was going to be the case. And Luke Doty would have not been working out at receiver at that point if he was beating out Ryan Helinski.
Right, but eventually you got to keep going with the season, Patrick. You can't just stop at the first game.
No, I know.
Who got in the games
But-
more at the end of the season? It wasn't Ryan Helinski, it was Luke Doty.
Well, I don't know if that had to do with game plan stuff. Like they needed a quarterback run to be involved. The offensive line wasn't playing well, and they needed someone that could move around. And
It totally
Brian
had
Helinski certainly
something
wasn't going to be that. Brian Helinski was going to be more of the same of Colin Hill. So I don't know.
But it certainly was a lot of that. This is why I don't think it follows that DeCarrion Joyner will move back there, and I don't understand the text. Candace said that he has more potential than the other options. DeCarrion Joyner was a tremendous high school quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Sophomore state championship down in Fort Dorchester, Mr. Football in the state of South Carolina. Yeah, tremendous. But we saw him try it for a couple of years at Carolina, and it didn't work out. I don't understand where
you saw him try it.
I saw him on the field, Bill.
How much did you see him on the? Okay, I saw him.
Win the Georgia game.
I saw him beat a number 3 team in the country on the road. If you want to say I saw it, I can only tell you what I saw with my eyes, and I saw him be a large part of beating the number 3 team in the country on the road.
Well, and it's just having different skill sets in the room that I think would be the advantage. I just don't see it as simply as like the transitive property of Helinski beat out Joyner and Doty beat out Helinski, so that means Doty's that much better than Joyner. I don't think it's that black and white. I think it's more you've got pocket passers in the room, you've got a dual threat in Luke Doty, and then you've got DeCarrion Joyner, who's on a different level of athlete than all of them.
I don't.
Wait. How is DeCarrion Joyner on a different level of athlete than Luke Doty?
You ready? Twitched up to a different degree.
Take that.
Completely disagree.
Take that.
You don't think Joyner's more twitched up than Luke Doty?
No, I think they're very similar, man.
Here's the bottom line. It doesn't matter if they're different athletes. Both of them have about the same amount of experience. Both of them have a similar. If you've got two guys who are very similar, and this was my argument back in 2 months ago in December or January, we were discussing this. I have no problem putting him back there. You got a fresh set. You got now, honestly, you now have all fresh sets of eyes. Des Kitchens isn't around anymore. You have fresh sets of eyes. You have fresh ideas. I heard Shane Beamer talking about this last night. Todd Ellis was talking about it, about retreads in the SEC, and just saying that the SEC is becoming kind of a copycat league. You're hiring the same coordinators from the same teams. You kind of have an idea. Marcus Satterfield, Marcus Satterfield, Eric Kimmery, and those two
Greg Atkins.
are brand new guys. Well, no, Greg Atkins
He's
is
not.
Georgia, Tennessee. But I say all that because I'm with it, and I'm with moving him back. If you want to,
I don't think he wants to. I think all of it's kind of irrelevant because it would be his third offense in 3 years that you have to learn, and that is much more difficult to do as a quarterback than as a wide receiver. And he's probably been running routes all off season. He might be over it.
But he's on the same plane. He's on the same level right now in terms of knowing the offense as Luke Doty and Jason Brown. And if he wants, that's any kind of thing. Because, again, I'll always use Jamias Williams as the perfect example. Urban Meyer comes down to recruit you at running back. The guy knows a thing or two about offensive players. He wants you on offense. But if you're so determined to play defense, and I interviewed him in the field house or whatever, in the indoor facility, and I asked him, I said, if they confronted you about playing offense, he goes, yeah, but I don't want to do that. I'm a defensive player. I came here to play defensive back for T-Rob. And you go, okay. I mean, you can't force something on a guy that just simply doesn't want it.
No. I wouldn't want it if I was Joyner. I wouldn't want to play quarterback. I'd be over it.
Interesting. And Travis hits us up on the live stream, says in Tim's defense, we saw him never get the offense past the 50 against that Georgia team. I just went back and looked at the stats, man. He gets credit for not making mistakes against Georgia. You guys said he won the game. I didn't see that day against Georgia. He didn't lose the game for them when he came in for Hilinski. Hilinski, that's the best game I think he played in his career. I get it that he put up better numbers against Alabama in game number 2, 15 out of 20 that day, and a ridiculous touchdown pass to Brian Edwards down the sideline. Before he got hurt, to me, that was Hilinski's best game. After that, the stats for Joyner, 6 out of 12 for 39 yards, and he ran for 28 yards in 6 attempts. I saw him at Missouri come in for Hilinski and try to throw it and move the team, and it just never got going. You got to earn your opportunities, and I get that maybe it's because we have the perception of the Will Muschamp coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball, especially not knowing what they're doing. So maybe that's why you're holding out hope. But I just
you would have given up. You would have given up on Connor Shaw before we ever saw Connor Shaw with that attitude. Because his first 2 appearances, I don't know if people remember his first 2 true appearances. He got his ribs cracked against Arkansas on a cold night in November, and then you had the first quarter against the East Carolina, which didn't obviously go quite the way anybody wanted it to, and Steven Garcia put on the Superman cape and came in and saved the day. But Connor Shaw didn't get off to a great start either. All I'm saying, and I'm with Patrick on this, if you don't want to move, don't move, and the conversation becomes moot anyway. But you got new eyes, new ideas. You got new skills. You got whatever they're going to do. That's the fun part. That's kind of the entertaining fun part of it. We have no idea what this offense is going to be. I have zero clue what they're about to try and do on this offense. I know that they've got one running back who looks really good. I know they got a bunch of offensive linemen that appear to be able to run block. And after that, I got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe they come out in the triple option against Eastern Illinois. Amos, Amos, Lloyd, and Harris back there. And
I want White playing safety.
Option. Huh?
I want White playing safety.
He's listed at running back right now.
He's the anti-Jamias. We want him playing safety.
To your point about Connor Shaw, he had done something in those first 2 appearances that Dakereon Joyner had not done. At least earned the right to start. And I think it was.
No, he didn't start against Arkansas. He came in the 4th quarter.
I know, in the second one. You mentioned the first 2 appearances. He earned the right to start against East Carolina. I believe there was some Steve Spurrier shenanigans with Steven Garcia to motivate him, don't get me wrong, to keep him on edge. But he at least got to start. That's something that we haven't seen for Dakereon Joyner in his career at Carolina. Chris says, I like Doty, but I think it'll be the transfer of Jason Brown. What I wanted to say about that is Jason Brown has a better public perception than Colin Hill did, because Colin Hill was attached to Mike Bobo and the system and the coach, and he had some numbers that weren't necessarily favorable, certainly a win-loss record at Colorado State that wasn't favorable. at least Jason Brown isn't attached to his new offensive coordinator, Marcus Satterfield, in that way. I think, Bill, to some extent, there is and was a perception that Colin Hill got the job simply because he understood what his coach was wanting from him more. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and I'll also say this. I think it's easier for Jason Brown to be accepted because I think we all look at Luke Doty with that bad word of potential, which means you could be really good, but we haven't seen it. Ryan Helinski, you are right. We saw glimpses of that, and the natural assumption was, oh boy, Ryan Helinski with a quarterback guru like Mike Bobo. Can you imagine the strides he's going to make in the offseason in this coming year? And I don't know. There's a lot of things there that could be said or thought of, but I think that was the other part of it is you had some samples and you had some significant games there with Ryan Helinski, be it the Charleston Southern game, the Alabama game, as you mentioned, the first half of the Georgia game. Even the Florida game where you looked back, he threw for 300 against Tennessee. I forgot about that.
He threw over 50 passes at least 3 times, right?
Yeah,
right.
You looked at Helinski and you. So I think you're right there. It's for multiple reasons. Jason Brown coming in because with Luke Doty, you go, okay, I think this guy can be a really good athlete. Can he throw the ball around? Can he be the quarterback everybody wants? You just haven't seen as much of it in 2.5 quarters.
I think that just like Colin Hill, people said he came here just because he was Bobo's quarterback. I think there might be some of that. People saying, well, they just got Brown because he's best friends with EJ Jenkins. They want a 6'8" wide receiver. I definitely.
Well, but you've heard they've already said that was. But you've already heard that was different, right? That they were looking for a transfer quarter. They I can't remember if it was or whatever. That they were looking. They saw Jason Brown. They watched this film, and then when they were watching it, they're like, "Wait, man, who's this wide receiver he keeps throwing it to? He looks pretty good."
I mean, they were. I don't know how much I buy that because they were also looking for wide receivers, and they were both all conference players. So.
Right, and I'm with you, Patrick. If there is a history in football of 6'8" wide receivers being really productive, especially in the SEC, but there just isn't.
I'm not buying that story.
EJ Jenkins is what you create on EJ.
That they were looking at Jason Brown and they said, "Oh wow, there's a random 6'8" wide receiver out there. Who's this guy?" They should have turned on the tape and knew who he was already because he was an all-conference player. They should have been looking at wide receivers.
He's an all-conference
Northeastern Conference player.
Yeah, like what do you mean? Like they were
both
scouring.
like, why'd they start looking at Jason Brown? Because they saw, he's an all-conference player. Let's go check out him.
I think honestly, I think to answer your question, he was in the portal first. I don't know if both were in at the same time. I think it was Jason Brown was kind of the one doing the hey, we're going to go somewhere, EJ.
Yeah. It seems like everything they did was
sit over there and be tall.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, Bill might have some inherent bias against anyone who's 6'8". Fair?
Well, but no, isn't EJ Jenkins what we all draw up on college football in the college football game? We're like, ooh, a 6'8" wide receiver who has 4.4 speed and a 40-inch run. Like that was the guy that you all created like in college, and then your buddy would come over and you're like, hey man, I'm gonna get like North Texas, and your buddy would be like, oh, what? North Texas? He goes, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just North Texas. You're gonna be who you want to be? Alabama? You're gonna be Alabama, and next thing you know, you're like you got a quarterback that's just like got 99 speed and a wide receiver who's 6'10", and you're like your buddy's going, I think you're cheating. I think you've done something and you're cheating.
By the way, I don't think EJ Jenkins has 4.4 speed.
You know what? Back to my black coffee this morning.
Better keep straight, Patrick.
On the way.
Looks like a 4.03.
404, 6100. They're going to keep going back and forth. We need to take a quick break.
Glad
Hear from Shane Beamer. We'll hear from Shane Beamer. He was on with Carolina Calls last night and had one specific comment I think that stood out amongst the rest. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5.
It's a new year. They're hungry, driven, in it. That's all the guys that want to be here. Not just going out.
It is good to have you back.
Famous last name. It's not some retreads. We're a bunch of guys that I think are ready to prove to people that we can do some special things. New attitude. I do believe that Big Dog is.
Now, if you guys could get your Twitter handles on your names, then I'd be really impressed.
There's no other job.
Well, I can do that. Right?
Yeah, I don't know where you end up putting it in. You got to take it out and then go back in.
Glad to have Patrick back this morning, bringing the energy. He looks excited, probably as excited as some of you are when you find out that you can refinance and lower your mortgage payment. That's right. Interest rates very low right now, and it's the great opportunity to get in touch with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder of First Palmetto Banking. Give him a call this morning, 803-719-1005. You can also email him the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. Jacob's helping people save $300, $400, even $500 each month on their mortgage payment. You could be one of those people. Again, interest rates very low right now. It's a golden opportunity to save if you want to refinance. And if you want to purchase a home, again, an excellent chance. You got to find that dream home. You got to get in touch with Jacob, get the whole process going. Don't wait around. Start this morning by getting in touch with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, 803-719-1005. That email again, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. Give him a call. Find out what the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, can do for you. 803-719-1005. That's Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank.
I don't get it, Craig. How's he the wet blanket? He was just saying the guy doesn't run a 4.4, man.
Yeah.
And Steven, I think you could go even further than that. I think where Bill and Patrick might be is Doty hasn't proven much either. No. Man,
Yeah, no.
hasn't the Carolina quarterback room just been as big of a roller coaster as possible here in the last
Well,
few
what
years?
was it 3 years ago that South Carolina had one of the top four? It was the Sports Illustrated article, had one of the top four quarterback rooms in the country with Bentley, Halitsky, and Joyner.
Yep.
Yep.
Then you add Doty to that, right? And
But think about this, like it's same thing next 2 years. Is it next year? Yeah, next year, Georgia, you're going to have JT Daniels, Brock Vandergriff, and Gunnar Stockton. You think they're going to keep all of those guys?
no.
Well, and Ohio State's going to have 3 5-stars as well.
Oh, really? Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I mean, who's the one they got? Shroud, JT Shroud, right, from California. He's a freshman.
Was that his name? I thought JT Shrout was the kid at Tennessee that beat us.
Yeah, you're right. It's Ohio State.
Oh, he's on.
He looks like Long Beach Poly or something like CJ Stroud.
Okay.
KT, thank you. I see Jen, you're fired up over there, ready to go.
Yep, already been on the phone with Ed, getting some audio hardware mapping done, and
Yeah,
record on that
Concord.
computer again. It's good.
Nice.
Who's the other one, Patrick?
Kyle McCord. He's from Philly.
Oh.
He's the number 3 quarterback in the country, 2021.
Jen, is Keith still there?
He's not. I was just going to tell you, he hung up.
Okay. And can we come back with some of the audio that Dave cut last night? It looks like it's number 35, what I'm looking for. On the spring.
30. I don't see a 35.
I saw that. Craig Tavarian
Hang on a second.
Jackson, I think was his name. Quarterback.
Indiana, huh?
Yeah, they're going all out. It's really interesting watching South Carolina recruiting right now because you've got the proven guys in Gray and Step, but then you don't know, like all the other guys. It's kind of interesting to see how they're going to go out and recruit. I don't know how they can recruit right now, not getting kids onto campus. I was listening to Beamer talk a little bit last night. We can get into a couple things he said about guys at spring fans at spring practice and
Right.
the ladies clinic talking
I got
about.
Thank you. Yeah, he was also talking about recruiting nationally at Oklahoma with Staples there. So, yeah, we'll stay on this topic.
I didn't listen. Is the Staples podcast free or is that part of the Athletic?
Now it's on YouTube.
Okay, I'll watch it today. I didn't.
The Andy Staples Show is what it's labeled. You can search for it. It'll pop up. He likes to abbreviate it ASS, Andy Staples Show. I didn't realize he said he grew up, or he was born 2 miles from Williams-Brice.
Yeah, that's why he's always talking. He'll talk about Carolina stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Big Tannehill guy. Matthew asked how I feel about the defense that's coming in. Do you mean like the transfers, Matthew, maybe? Interesting that Beamer said that Strawn, the Georgia State guy, had already put on 17 pounds in the first month.
How is that possible?
That doesn't sound healthy.
No, it can't be.
Well, you're also dealing with our genetics instead of his. Maybe with his
Yeah,
guy.
but he was already in. It's one thing if you're talking about a high school senior. You are still talking about a kid who's coming from a college strength and conditioning program and has been in it for what, 3 years?
He wasn't cutting weight for a title fight weigh-in.
Like,
And then just added it all back.
But
I feel like that's a shot at Sean Elliott and the Georgia State staff being like, yeah, it's like a third world country over there. You're malnourished. You barely work out. You come over here, look at the difference. Like that doesn't. Some about that doesn't seem right. That seems like some misinformation he was given. They said 7 pounds and he heard 17.
Well, remember the ridiculous numbers that Sedarius Hutcherson put on, right?
But that was over a year, not a month. I think
Yeah,
that was a year and a half.
In a month is just outrageous. Like,
Yeah, but his was how many pounds in a year? Like
60.
it was like 60.
50 or 60.
Yeah, do the math. It's 5 pounds per month, man. It's crazy.
okay, and Strawn did quadruple that almost.
But I mean, in Atlanta, where all you have to eat is the varsity, obviously the diet, the nutrition.
Makes a
Fed him
difference.
6-piece Chick-fil-A nuggets every
I
morning.
mean, that puts him now at whatever he is, 240, 6'2", because he was 225.
Right? Crazy,
All
man.
right, let's head back in.
We're hoping
You
he's
got
hurt.
Beamer, right, Jen?
I do.
Thank you.
I just know it takes a while to get Bill wound back down.
Good call. Good call. So, Matthew, about that guy, about Shane Beamer's really high on Stebo Williams, right? The last name, the linebacker from Delaware. Is it Williams, Patrick? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, you're right.
We
I think
talked
it's
about
actually
him.
Daryl Williams, and they call him Debo Williams, I think.
Right. Gonna listen to Shane Beamer now on the show.
March 20th, whatever that Saturday is, and then finishing up that third week of April. So schedule's still the same. Eager to get to it. Hopefully, we'll be able to have a big time spring game and all that, depending on what's going on out there from a COVID standpoint. And then objectives. I really think the main thing is just really understanding and just getting to know our personnel. You know, as a football staff, and we know these guys. We've seen video. We've been around them. We're just getting a chance to
AT,
get
I
on
think
the field.
6 feet.
Watching them work, watching them compete with each other, and that competitive spirit they have. A lot of objectives, but that's one for sure. They're just developing depth for sure.
Shane Beamer last night, Carolina Calls, right here on 107.5 The Game, courtesy of the Learfield IMG College Network. Also, part of his comments, Bill, you touched on it kind of in the live stream here off the air, asked about fans possibly attending spring practices, and he said he would certainly be open for opening up at least a few practices as long as the COVID issue is not a problem, and you can kind of clear that, I think, through all the proper channels. Doesn't surprise me to hear him say that. Will be interesting to see how he actually handles that. I feel like all coaches, in theory, are sure, come on in, you can check it out. Very rarely have I heard a coach publicly say, no, I don't want anybody. But that's a lot of coaches' policies these days in college football.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about it. There's two things to that. Logistically, one, I love the idea. If they can get everything open, if they can get the recruiting period back open April 15th, and you can get 9 days in there, I think it's the 24th of the spring game, I think South Carolina fans would turn out in mass to go down there and tailgate a little bit in late April and watch the spring game, or if you can just get them a spring practice. And you talk about a great recruiting environment, something that we were talking about on the live stream about these guys trying to recruit right now and how difficult it is for this particular staff, who I think their best selling point, this staff's best selling point right now, outside of Torian Gray or Justin Stepp with the experience, is those facilities. And if you can't get kids on the campus to show them the facilities, that makes it really tough. But if you can get them on campus and that you can walk them around the facilities, then walk them through Gamecock Park as fans are out there getting fired up for just a spring practice, you got a great selling point. The other thing is that, Tim, you've been down there, both as camera guy and doing the press conferences. You know, the old proving grounds, it was a lot easier to get people in on that one side to watch spring practice. I don't know exactly how they would do that given the new setup with the ops building and how those practice fields are kind of designed. There's not as much room. The old proving ground had a lot of room where you could kind of get there on that one sideline and go across. I'm not sure that the room is there to make that available like it had been in the past.
Better parking. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying on the sideline. I don't know how much. There's not as much room from a spectator standpoint from the sideline to where they have the fence, I think, blocking off the practice field as you're looking back towards Williams-Brice. But I'm sure they could finagle it. And I'm sure it would be a pretty solid turnout, especially get good weather and start to feel like spring is coming and a new football season and the whole deal. Will be interesting to see how it ends up for sure. Shane Beamer, I think, giving Gamecock fans hope right now in that way and other ways. We'll talk more about it as we roll into hour number 2 here. It's the early game on 107.5. You guys got anything going over there? You look hard at work.
I was letting somebody know about the live when I'm doing a live for them. I got a haircut and I've got hair everywhere.
You got a haircut overnight?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It just feels that way. Like, oh, what's going on? You know, I haven't seen you since 9 a.m. yesterday, though, unless you've been stalking me and watched me go to bed, weirdo.
I lead a boring life, you know.
I mean, if you're sitting outside, there's some cats making a lot of noise.
Woo! Greg should make you feel better, Jen. On the live stream, he just says you're missing 0 degrees up here in Illinois.
You know what? My brother-in-law just sent something just a little bit ago. I think maybe he's in Wisconsin because he drives a truck, and he said minus 21. I said, dude, it is 76 degrees warmer here.
Oh, my God.
So
and I still think it's cold.
Yeah, that's stupid cold.
It was nice. We had soccer practice last night. I mean, compared to what it was all day yesterday, it got a little chilly, but it was nice. If that rain holds out, I'll look at the weather report in a minute.
I wish it's been talking about rain for 2 days, and
it's actually looked really neat on the lake. The fog, I can probably see about 40 yards out. I can't see nothing, but the lake the water is about as steel. I mean, it looks like glass.
Is it similar to the fog that's usually in your condo?
You ever seen the movie The Mist? It usually comes on right after Monster-in-Law. M. Night Shyamalan.
Well done. Well played, sir.
Give me 5 minutes. That's all I need. Hey, Billy, you want to go drive a stick somewhere?
So, Patrick, were you able to go right to sleep yesterday?
Not really. I started watching Seabiscuit.
Oh, wow. I've never seen that one. Good?
Good movie.
I can't get into the horse movies. Maybe I hold them all up to the high standard of Black Stallion. Just can't do it.
Seabiscuit's good. Secretariat's good.
It's the other one. Was Seabiscuit the one with Tobey Maguire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I tried to watch that one time.
Warhorse is terrible.
Maybe I tried that one too.
That movie's just so boring. I'm sure I was young when I watched it, but I was so bored by it. It got a million Oscar nods, but
not buying it, no.
One horse running around World War II battlefields for like 3 hours. I was really bored.
I had a boss with an interactive broadcast company that I worked for. She was so into horses, so all of her incentives and things were based kind of around horse themes, and one was with Secretariat. you know, because he won by 31 lengths. Because he had the 31 lengths award, you know, where your goal was just to be always ahead of the competition, looking back at them, you know, that kind of thing. It's like but other than that, I have not had any interest in focusing on any horse anything. They're beautiful to watch, but like I don't want to watch a movie.
I like going to horse races. It's the most fun thing to gamble by a mile.
Have you ever been to a dog track? Like to watch
No.
the greyhounds?
Uh,
That's actually kind of fun.
They're a lot of them are gone now. There's not many places you can do that anymore, I don't think.
Probably not.
But we had a horse track like 30 minutes from me in West Virginia, and we would always drive out there. It was all electronic bets, so even when we were underage, you were able to place bets. They just did not care. There's no rules in West Virginia. It's a completely lawless state.
That is true. That's actually a very true statement. West Virginia is basically a separate part of the United States.
Marry
West
your
Virginia
brother.
has to be the worst state in America.
Patrick, correct, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I wanted you to put up your Twitter handle. You can immediately give him negative feedback or positive, I guess.
That's a good idea.
It has almost no redeeming qualities.
Have you ever been to Morgantown?
Beautiful.
I have.
Not beautiful.
I want to go there for a football game. That's kind of like, it just seems like a place that you'd want to go. I mean, you're right. It seems like a place where when you come back, you're probably going to have to get a penicillin shot or something.
Don't take the kids.
Just rude.
Is the stadium, is that the one that's right next to the hospital?
I think you might be thinking of Iowa.
Right. No,
Iowa's the one that's got the
Yeah.
children's hospital and they wave.
Where they
and
do the lights. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was.
I've never been to a West Virginia game. I don't know.
So I got a question when you talk about the third quarter thing. Are we still doing the raise the three fingers to start the second half?
I wouldn't think
People in the crowd will do it for sure. Just
so.
random people.
It's not a bad thing.
80,000
It's not a
people.
bad thing, but
Sure, a couple thousand will be doing it.
a couple thousand.
Maybe the first game or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it'll be the whole crowd in unison doing it, but I bet you there's going to be tons of people that are like, this is what we do now. What are we talking about?
Yeah, you're right. I feel like there's gonna have to be a discussion about that. I thought about I want to go Morgantown. You know what? Like, just I've never been, so I don't know if it's pretty or not. But Madison,
Okay.
Wisconsin, Morgantown, West Virginia,
Yeah.
like college football. Like those are two that I kind of like. Austin, I feel like I would visit Austin, Texas, any time of the year. Music, food,
Yeah, for sure.
like
Yeah.
like I don't feel like I'm going to Madison, Wisconsin, just to go.
Good call.
Morgantown is the perfect
Morgantown,
non-conference. That would be the perfect non-conference game for Carolina to play.
Yeah, West Virginia.
Yeah. In terms
That
of
and
like,
the Virginia Tech one. Going to my dad used to rave
Yeah.
about going to Blacksburg. He said that trip
Awesome.
through the
Yeah,
mountains.
but in terms of
And back in.
rowdy fan bases and evenly matched teams, West Virginia and South Carolina fans would get along swimmingly.
I'd love. I mean, we played them back in the late '80s, early '90s before we joined the SEC. I remember going to a game like Thanksgiving
West
weekend. Tim, do you remember this?
Where
91 or
again,
92.
Bill?
We played them after Clemson at Williams Brice Stadium. My dad took me.
Talking about Virginia Tech?
West Virginia.
I don't remember that. Do you remember the CarQuest Bowl?
Hey,
Guys are up.
Carry your couch with you to Morgantown, Bill. Jan leading us off on the live stream, talking about some venues we'd like to see in college football and specific places you'd like to visit, and how Morgantown, West Virginia is on the list as long as it's a football game. Just like Madison, Wisconsin. As long as it's a football game, you're going to. And not just going to Madison to have some cheese and hang out with the cheeseheads up there, especially this time of year. But I'd love to go to Camp Randall and watch a game there. And we can get a bye week trip going somehow on the show.
I would have honestly, I would have done that this year. Patrick and I got into this discussion. Tim, I think you were out back in the spring, and we were talking about best like 3-night road trips.
I think it was a Heath show discussion.
Oh, was it? We did it on the Heat show.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
we did this.
I know it was you and I. We were getting it like if you could catch like if you tied everything in together So what was he? We said like a Brewers or Milwaukee Bucks like basketball game on a Friday night. Go catch like Wisconsin, and then get back over to Lambeau. I think we had one for Chicago, Jen. I forget what we had for Chicago.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Notre Dame, and
Northwestern.
that jumped up the list pretty quickly when we brought up Notre Dame. Yeah. So yeah, not Northwestern. But no, that'd be interesting. We didn't discuss it a couple weeks ago. Barring something going very wrong for Shane Beamer. As a matter of fact, somebody hit us up earlier. Steven hit us up. He said, I really think this is a 6-year rebuild. I'm not expecting anything till then. He hit us up on the live stream. Matter of fact, if you're not on the live stream, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. You make Patrick Perrett very happy. 107.5 The Game.
You make our station very happy.
You make him very happy. You make Tim very happy. Jen smiles a little bit.
You make everybody but Bill happy.
Yeah. So yeah, if you don't like making me happy, go subscribe. If you like angering me. But we were talking on the live stream, a lot of stuff in the live stream. But one thing we didn't discuss a few weeks ago, unless something goes wrong with Shane Beamer, he's going to get a rematch, or he's going not a rematch. He's going to get a game versus alma mater. We didn't talk about that. South Carolina will actually play in one of those Chick-fil-A kickoff games in 2025 against Virginia Tech. They'll go to Atlanta for that kickoff weekend game. And, we were talking about fun non-conference games Patrick brought off air. He says South Carolina really needs to schedule a home-and-home with West Virginia. The fan bases, the teams, the programs, all very similar.
Yeah, the Atlanta thing is just not the same. Doesn't fire me up nearly as much as having the chance to go to Blacksburg would.
Neutral site. I agree with you from that standpoint. I think, that was always a hypothetical out there, too, that sounded like a really good idea to have neutral site games in Charlotte for the Gamecocks, right, against an ACC opponent. And now that we've seen it for several years, NC State, East Carolina, North Carolina, and you've seen the turnout and everything involved there, it just doesn't have that college football feel. And I think that's what you're getting to, Patrick. There is a massive difference between watching a good matchup on paper and then going to a great environment. And I think, Bill, that's to your point about Morgantown and West Virginia and Madison and Wisconsin and certainly Blacksburg up in there. Jan hits us up, says you got to go up there with the Sandman playing. I was lucky enough to go up there way back. I think it was the late 80s. And when Carolina was playing the home and homes with Virginia Tech, that same series that Shane Beamer talks about coming to Williams-Brice Stadium for the first time with his dad. And yeah, it's tremendous. The how the fan bases really embrace their team is the deal. And I'm with you on the neutral site game. I'm wondering how long those are gonna go. They're basically
isn't there just so much money?
Right?
You're offering
the money
too much money. And like you guys know what the kickoff game is in Charlotte this year, right? It's a big one. It's a massive one in Charlotte.
Is it Clemson, Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a top 5 showdown on opening weekend. That'll be at Bank of America. Charlotte got that one. That feels weird saying that in Charlotte as opposed to Atlanta because they've been able to host all the big ones. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like in Charlotte this year for that. That's conceivably
sure.
You guys would agree with me. That's going to be the biggest college football game hosted in that stadium.
No doubt.
And to see what it'll look like. I mean, I don't know what they've got lined up.
Depends who makes the Mayo Bowl.
Trust me, they aren't getting 2 top 5 teams in the Mayo Bowl. 2 top 5 teams aren't showing up for the Mayo Bowl, buddy. But I mean, let's see if they've got the week 1 schedule up because I think you got Alabama and Miami this year. Is that? I don't know if that's in Jerry World or not.
LSU, UCLA is one. There's some cool matchups, but Clemson, Georgia is the only one that jumps off the page as this is going to be a highly competitive game as well.
They do have the opening weekend schedule. So so Clemson, Georgia is at Bank of America. Let's see, just kind of glancing very quickly. I was looking for that Miami game, or excuse me, I think it's Miami, Alabama on opening weekend. Yeah, Alabama, Miami they're at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
They're the Atlanta game instead of the Clemson Georgia game. That would have been a de facto Georgia home game. So I get why Clemson would much rather have it in Charlotte, where you would think it would be almost a home game for them. But we've seen Georgia fans go up to Notre Dame and take over that stadium. So I would imagine it'll be about a 50-50 split somewhere in there, maybe a few more Clemson fans involved. But I would think it's going to be full, as opposed to what we've seen for the Gamecock neutral site games. Maybe that first one against East Carolina was really well attended. You're talking about that Connor Shaw start. That was the first one, right? When Connor Shaw starts the season, I think we're talking about 2010. I think this was the SEC championship season, if I'm not mistaken. First game after the PapaJohns.com Bowl, I think. And the novelty and the price tag, the novelty wearing off and the price tag being what it is for a ticket up there, I think has continued to kind of discourage Gamecock fans from packing that place up.
It's just not good for the fans of that team. I mean, sometimes it's cool. Like Alabama and Florida State, the number 1 versus number 2 matchup, I'm pretty sure was the first game ever in the Falcon Stadium. So a number 1 versus number 2 game in the brand new opening of a new NFL stadium, the coolest stadium probably in the world at that time. That was awesome to watch in prime time because it felt big. It was a sellout. Everything was on the line. But two teams play. Bank of America doesn't have that feel. Bank of America Stadium does not have that feel at all. And just when it's not full, it's not fun at all. Like South Carolina's never filled up that stadium, and it just doesn't do anything for you as a viewer.
I want to set this up so well. I just realized this, and you have to understand what was going through my head as I read what I'm about to tell you, and like, didn't know there was a Dublin, Nebraska, or a Dublin, Illinois. You guys know the most random neutral site game that will probably ever take place occurs on week 0 this year. And I pretty much told you who it was and where it's at, but can you piece all
Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, the one that was supposed to be in Ireland last year?
No. Well,
it was.
It
was Notre Dame and Navy.
Notre Dame and Navy.
Yeah.
August 28th of this year is your week 0. Right now, you've got 3 games scheduled: UTEP, New Mexico State, UConn, at Fresno State, and you've got a third game featuring 2 Power 5 teams, and it is in the most for these 2 teams. And sending these 2 fan bases there is the most random non-conference game. And I've already told you basically who it is and where it's at. Can you guess very quickly?
Dublin.
That is the answer of where it's at. Can you guess the 2 teams?
Nebraska and Illinois.
In Nebraska, in Illinois, in Dublin. And as I'm reading it here, I'm like, because like the one above it says like UTEP at New Mexico State, Aggie Memorial Stadium. New Mexico, the one below it, UConn at Fresno State, Bulldog Stadium, Fresno, California. And I'm like, Dublin. It doesn't say Dublin, Illinois, or Dublin, Nebraska. I was like,
what's the stadium?
Avia, A-V-I-V-A,
Aviva?
Aviva. I don't know, but yeah. Can you imagine? There's your non-conference game. We're sitting here talking about South Carolina going to Georgia.
I bet you all 51,400 of those seats will be full though. Nebraska, I think, has don't they have the longest sellout streak in college football? I think their fans are ridiculously passionate. And also the Irish, they'll go. I mean, we send the Jags and Bengals to London every year, and they fill that thing up in Wembley. They just want to watch football. I would go. If South Carolina's playing Dublin,
I would ask that. If South Carolina played, what's the equivalent of that game?
It doesn't matter who they play.
South Carolina played Missouri, I feel like, in Dublin, I was about to say Dublin, Ohio.
Rutgers. South Carolina played Rutgers. I would go.
Kentucky, I think, would be maybe the equivalent. Yeah, Missouri's a pretty good one. Yeah, I think a lot of Gamecock fans would find a way to get there, possibly.
Trip of a lifetime.
Never been. Love a great excuse to go.
You can take that trip pretty much any time, right? Like, I don't know the exact weather of Ireland and what we're talking about.
51,699 of your closest friends.
Wait, you think it's the state of Nebraska, not necessarily the whole state, but you think basically all of Nebraska is going? Because I can't imagine.
Yeah, probably.
Illinois is going to pack that thing out. I could be wrong.
How much is a Guinness in Aviva Stadium? That's what I want to know.
I hear it tastes different over there in Ireland, by the way.
Question
from Lexington, keeping us straight here. 2011, he said it was that East Carolina, South Carolina game up in Charlotte. The 2010 season opener was against Southern Miss, and that was Marcus Lattimore's debut. I remember that one. Scored a couple of touchdowns and didn't take long to make an instant impact there, which I guess you can't take long to make an instant impact. That's how English works. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join. A bunch of comments still coming off of our conversation in hour number 1 about the possibility of Dakereon Joyner moving back to quarterback. He's listed as a wide receiver on the new depth chart that USC football has put out. Shane Beamer on Carolina Calls last night here on 107.5 The Game. Let him talk a little bit about where his head is at with his depth chart when we come back, and plenty more of your comments. 803-404-6100. Talking college football in February because it's what we do. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach Shane Beamer.
3 pounds. Well done, Trey. Thank you. There you go, Patrick. Pounds. They sell pounds over there? We get rid of the euro? I got no idea.
I don't know what the Irish use.
3 pounds is the price.
No?
The Irish pound.
Raphael going stand-up comedy with us. Why
I
are
was
they
going to say, you guys are
rich? Because their capital is always Dublin. Hey, good morning. Top of the morning to you.
Actually, Google says Ireland's on the pound. Or the euro. On the euro.
Not all gold coins from Lucky Charms. Just getting out all the stereotypes real quickly here. We'll tick everybody off in West Virginia.
Here's a bucket list question. You can only pick one. Would you rather go watch which courses Tim has the British Open in Ireland? Does the Ireland, or I guess maybe if you just included the UK, would you rather go to the UK and Ireland for your team's football game, or would you rather go watch a British Open there?
I would rather go to the football game and play the course.
Good
So
call.
you just change the rules. It just changed the rules. I understand.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you're hypothetical?
Yeah.
Because my dad has made that trip, and he's like, yeah, they're not very nice courses.
No, they're goat tracks.
Right?
They're historical goat tracks.
They've been there for hundreds of years. Not very nice.
I think I'd rather go to a British Open.
That would be a blast. I think I would rather go to a Ryder Cup than a British Open.
I don't know. I feel like I would say something, my trash talking, especially after a couple of these heavier beers that would spark the next World War.
You do have the German blood,
Yeah, we tend to get a little aggressive.
but not the Irish, so you'd be good there.
Yeah, the Irish never get in fights.
Yeah, I'm Irish, so I can attest to that.
They never get the invites. Is that what you said?
No, they never get in fights.
Oh, never get invites. I thought you were leaning to they never get invited to the world wars because of how they act.
No, they're mostly pacifists, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of Quakers there, I hear.
Yeah.
Travis, good call on the Field of Dreams there. That'll be pretty cool.
Well, what is it? Is it next weekend, Patrick, or is it this weekend? It might be this weekend that they've got the outdoor hockey matches.
Winter Classic? I don't know. I'm over it.
I thought they usually did that on, I guess maybe they had to shift it because of COVID, but I thought they usually did it right around New Year's.
No, yeah, they're doing it either this week or next because I was watching the Bruins and the Rangers last night. I got in bed. I just felt like watching hockey. And that was actually a great game. It went to overtime. But they were promoting a documentary about Doc Emmerich. And they were actually, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to lie to you guys and go like, oh, man, it was fascinating. But they were showing his, like, card that he used to call a game. And, like, one of the guys, like, it's crazy. It's about yay big, whatever. And you can barely read the writing. And one of the guys is joking in the little preview. And he's like, man, I didn't realize Doc Emmerich was like an owl or a hawk. How can anybody read any of this thing with the tiny writing?
He's the GOAT of broadcasters.
I think it's this weekend that they do. They were talking about that.
It's lost its value because it used to be one Winter Classic every year, and now they call it the Stadium Series, and there's like 5 or 6 outdoor games a year, and the players hate it, and it's just whatever now.
Because the ice stinks?
Yeah, the ice just starts to melt and gets all mushy and gross. Bucks are bouncing all over the place.
They're playing at Lake Tahoe.
Jen, let's come back with some Beamer, please.
It's the 20th and 21st, so next weekend.
Who's playing?
Number 31 is how I have it labeled in front of me on the list.
Avalanche versus Golden Knights and Brewers versus Flyers.
Lake Tahoe is not an actual football stadium, though, so that could actually be cool.
Yeah, man.
Okay, 31 changes to roster. Got it.
Thank you.
You gonna set it up or going straight in?
I don't understand. How are they going to do this?
The winner of the thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, do you want that straight in or you want to set it up?
Oh.
I'll do it real quick and set it up.
It will be set on the 18th fairway of the Edgewood Tahoe Resort Golf Course.
That's just, yeah.
I don't even. There will be no fans, obviously.
Well,
And Jen, we have typical break structure this hour, right?
remember we got Carrie at. Oh wait, that's 8:40.
8:40.
Yeah, we're good.
I know you've got your genius brewing right now.
I am brewing.
Yes, sir. Up.
Man, I'm looking forward to teeing it up. March 12th, spring golf tournament, the Windermere Club. I actually probably won't tee it up that much, but trying to get the first ever heckle hole going at our spring golf tournament there, 10 a.m. March 12th on a Friday out at the Windermere Club in Blythewood, 4-person captain's choice. That's the format. You can sign up as a team or as an individual. Give Windermere a call, 803-786-7888. Breakfast and lunch included. Lots of prizes out there. It's going to be a blast. And golf is kind of extra fun these days where my traveling routine consists of walking down the stairs to my garage and then chasing my kids around. So I think I could maybe appreciate a little bit more. Spring Golf Tournament sponsored by Integrated Media. Still your home, just smarter. Check them out at integratedmediainc.com. Sorry, Jen, what was that?
No, I was just going to say, so wow. So I'm wondering, could we make it even more enticing? You know, Bill talks about what kind of a chef he is and all this stuff. Could he cook lunch for everybody?
I'm playing in the tournament. How would I do that?
I thought you were invincible and kind of could do anything. Do you have to play? Like, isn't it more important for you to serve the people?
Yeah, playing with Jacob Crowder and Brian Kovar and apparently Craig Godwin. I don't know.
George Foreman on the back of the golf cart.
There you go. Just be
Right.
flipping chicken to people, and I don't know.
Doesn't the foreman have to have an electrical outlet?
I don't know.
Is there an electric George Foreman now that you can just charge up and?
Come on, all carts have the power, don't they, these days? You do have the USB ports. I guess you can't get the power outlet going quite as easily.
Sorry, didn't mean to
Anyway,
go down
again,
the rabbit hole.
Friday, March 12th, Windermere Club. You can give them a call, 786-7888 to sign up right now. That's going to be a great time for our spring golf tournament. Looking forward to that. And wanted to let you hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer from last night. Carolina Calls right here on 107.5 The Game, talking about the players he has and will be we'll be seeing soon, working out soon within about a month or so. Spring practice kicks off.
No, pretty steady right now. You know, I'm sure we still have some wiggle room going forward in regards to adding to our roster before the season. Nothing imminent on that. Potentially after spring practice, if there's a young man out there that can help our program, then we'll certainly look into that. But right now, no, it's pretty steady. Really like where we are right now as a program with the team, with the players, the way they're working in the weight room with Coach Luke Day. And you're right, though. I mean, it's been a whirlwind. There was a time there, every time my phone rang, it was either you're always worried, is it one of your own players that's looking into the portal, or is it someone that's interested in coming to Carolina? So it was certainly a whirlwind there for sure, but it has settled down. But with the transfer portal right now, it's like the wild, wild west out there in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not ever slowed down, but it's slowed down a little bit for us.
Shane Beamer on with Todd Ellis last night. Carolina Calls here on 107.5 The Game. one scholarship, I believe, remains available. He was asked about that the other day. Shane Beamer wasn't at the media Zoom call and said that's probably going to stay open right now. And Bill, to have a little flexibility with the transfer portal, I think is wise, because we all know it happens every year. After spring practice, there is movement, fluid situations all over the place when you get guys who think they have a really good shot or think they're in position for a lot of playing time, and then it doesn't work out that way through spring practice, and they get jumped on the depth chart and feel like they have better opportunity somewhere else. And for a program that's in as much transition and flux as Carolina is, these coaches haven't got to see these players on the field, and much less see if they can do exactly what they need them to do. They just hadn't seen them at all on the field with their own eyes. I anticipate still plenty of movement from a roster standpoint for this Gamecock team coming up in the spring. When I say plenty, it's certainly at least a handful of guys looking for another opportunity. What about you? Any idea on the number that you would expect? I know you mentioned before maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you take some players, if you take some players later, you can count them 4 towards next year's class. I don't know exactly how that works, because as Beamer was pointing out, they've got 1 scholarship left, but you've got to think, not just at South Carolina, but at Clemson, at Georgia, at Florida, at other schools, you're going to see players that go through spring ball analyze where they're at on the depth chart after spring ball, and then make a decision to transfer, given that they should still be able to transfer without penalty. Not picking on Ryan Holinsky, but I think that's the one thing that surprised me about him. Like, go back to the coaching change that happened with Steve Spurrier to Will Muschamp. Connor Mitch stuck it out through spring ball to see how he would fit into the offense. He knew Brandon McElwain was going to be there. At that point, he knew Jake Bentley was coming in. Perry Orth was there, but Connor Mitch stuck it out through spring ball to see if he could compete and earn his spot. That was maybe the one thing that surprised me about Holinsky, was not making that decision. I guess he had gone ahead with everything that happened with Mike Bobo, because Holinsky transferred before Bobo left, correct? Am I right on that timeline?
That's why there was conversation, and I think a lot of Gamecock fans kind of held out hope that Shane Beamer would convince him to come back.
I just, but I think you're going to see that in a lot of positions, and I don't think South Carolina is any different. You're going to see guys who go through spring ball, they see what they're up against, they see, maybe maybe they see new coaches coming in. South Carolina certainly fits that bill. Maybe you see guys at Texas with Steve Sarkisian that comes in. And his new staff, you kind of think around, same thing at Auburn with Brian Harrison, guys that come in, the new coaching staff, and they go, Harsin, they come in and they say, I don't want to play for these guys, or, I don't like how I'm being used here. And so, I do think you'll see more activity in the transfer portal. Again, Beamer says they've got 1 spot for this particular class. I don't know if you take, say, 2 more, if you can count them forward to the 2022 class and bring them on. So I think there's still a lot there that can be done with the finagling of rosters and how you want to move it around when we get into, say, May.
It will mostly be quarterbacks, though, right? That move. I mean, that's just generally how it is.
No, I disagree. I think that's where Ryan Holinsky understood that he needed to get into a program in the spring to have a handle on the playbook, as opposed to coming in the summer and you're just tremendously behind the 8 ball, talking about a competition and the knowledge of the offense, and having already kind of gone through that with the Mike Bobo change.
Well, it's helpful.
It makes more sense for quarterbacks to have that spring ball than any other position.
It makes more sense, but that's the one position more than any other that you figure out, well, only one guy can play. So if I'm not going to be a starter, then I'm probably out of here. If it seems like a couple of receivers are having a better spring camp than you, that doesn't necessarily mean, I better get out of here because I'm not going to play, although it could, depending on the situation.
What happened, speaking of receivers, what happened to Randrigus Davis, Papa Joe asked on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. He is on the roster, went and checked, and has been at South Carolina for how long, Bill? I think you like to say he was back there in the 90s, listed as a redshirt senior. Randrigus Davis, wide receiver who opted out this past season, along with Ortre Smith, who's also back on the roster.
Right.
Looks like will be an option, or at least in the mix there at wide receiver for the game.
Can't be recruited the first time around.
I think he outlasted Will Muschamp. I believe he was part of Muschamp's first recruiting class.
Let's see.
He was. Mark Rick went to. Imagine that, the coach that he was committed to, Mark Rick at Georgia, and the coach that he ended up playing for, Will Muschamp, Rodriguez Davis, outlasted both of them in college.
But wait a second, he outlasted Rick at his next job and then retired, right?
Exactly.
And now Muschamp at South Carolina the entire tenure. That is something for sure. Wow, that's hard for me to wrap my brain around. Thanks for the question on that one, Papa Joe. And speaking of Carolina wide receiver depth chart, we're talking about the Kerryon Joyner, who is listed as a wide receiver on the new depth chart put out by Carolina just the last couple of days. Joyner had 2 offers, RJ says, to play quarterback in Division I. Bill, feel free to weigh in on this since you're the resident recruiting nerd. NC State and South Carolina. RJ says he's not a quarterback, while Ronnie says Joyner never got a legitimate chance in the quarterback competition at Carolina. What are your thoughts about the offers? Since I'm sure you remember the recruitment and all that.
Sorry, my bear sneezed violently. I'm trying to think. Connor Shaw came down to South Carolina and Georgia Tech and got an opportunity. I think there was a lot of people who said, well, I don't know if he, I remember him coming in, and some of it was, okay, I think he can be a quarterback, but if not, he can be a pretty good athlete somewhere else. And he got his opportunity, and obviously the rest is history. I don't know if you can just write off the Kerryon Joyner because of what the recruitment came down to. And this is where I think Patrick and I disagreed with you earlier. I don't think you can write him off just because of what you saw. I don't know if he was developed. I don't know if he was ever a part of the quarterback plan under Will Muschamp, or if it was just something that Muschamp and his quarterbacks coach, whether it was Kurt Roper or Brian McClendon, or I guess it wasn't Bobo, but they saw him as just a recruiting victory and something to hold up and say, hey, we landed a 4-star quarterback in our home state and we brought him in. I think Muschamp looked at recruiting that way sometimes, and recruiting victories were very important to him, more so than maybe they are to other coaches, because I don't know if they ever recruited him with the idea that he'd be a quarterback. You go back to his freshman season, Tim, that was the first year that you could play in 4 games and not redshirt. And I'll just go back to the last 2 games of that year. The Akron game at home, he barely gets any snaps, which was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous against Akron. South Carolina was up 28-3 at halftime. That the Kerryon Joyner didn't get more playing time in that game. And then you go back to the bowl game. And you know what? I'm out here stumping for the Kerryon Joyner. You can be that person who said, you know what, Bill? There was another guy in front of him at the time that won a football game for South Carolina that year. His name was Michael Scarnecchia. He should have gotten an opportunity just to go out and throw some passes in that game and play. It's hard for me to look at the handling of the quarterback situations for across the board under Will Muschamp. Now, you factor in the Florida days as well and say, oh yeah, this was done very well. History suggests to me that the Kerryon Joyner could be a good quarterback when I look at every quarterback that left Will Muschamp's program and went on to success. When I look at Jeff Driscoll and Will Greer is a little bit different. I don't hold Will Greer against Muschamp because there was some other circumstances on that. But Jacoby Brissett is another one. We'll see what happens here with the Kerryon Joyner. My expectation now is that he'll stay at wide receiver, that the quarterback competition is going to come down to Luke Doty and Jason Brown in the spring, and we'll move forward from there. We'll see what kind of offense and maybe they have a 2-quarterback offense that they're going to run. Maybe that's what we're going to see, but I don't think the Kerryon Joyner got my opinion, Joyner, I don't want to speak for Joyner. He can speak for himself. He's got social media and Instagram, and he's got all those things. I don't know if he ever got a fair chance. I will say in defense of Will Muschamp, if Joyner was upset with him, or if if he didn't like how he was used or if he felt lied to, we all know that the easiest thing in the world is to transfer. He could have left, and he continues to appear to be committed to the University of South Carolina. I think as a fan, you have to respect that and you have to appreciate that. The fact that he hasn't made the impact I'm sure he hoped to as a 4-star player coming out of Fort Dorchester, but yet he's not turned his back on the University of South Carolina.
Plenty more to discuss as we kick off the second half of the show. And on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, you had a couple people agreeing with you there, Bill, about the Joyner situation. Steve says it will be Jason Brown and Luke Doty in the quarterback battle, and Joyner's best at wide receiver. Mike mentioned Joyner would thrive in the triple option. And Dustin G says, how surprised would y'all be if Colton Gauthio comes out with the strongest arm we have and wins the job? I think we would all be very surprised right now if the true freshman comes in and ends up being the starting quarterback for the Gamecocks. But we've been surprised before at that position for sure. Our favorite 86-year-old caller would like to weigh in on it. We'll do that when we come back. Let you hear a little bit more from Shane Beamer as we roll on from Carolina calls last night as well. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
The home of the Gamecocks and
Jen, we're not doing – this is a 7:30 break. We still got a 7:40, right?
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
Yeah, 7:40. I think I had 0 res. Is that not right?
We have no
Did you?
accidents reported this time. Still looking good out there this morning, and weather.
I didn't know if I forgot if we had combined breaks and that was the 7:30 or we were doing the regular breaks this hour.
Regular break?
67 for the high
Okay,
today.
I got a
That comes down
7:40.
54 tomorrow. Right now it's 55 at 107.5.
Jen
The
sent me a message that I have a 7:40 as well, so we might have to figure this out.
Do you want to do 0 res at the end of this break?
I'm happy to do it. I thought it was 7:40 is what you sent me earlier.
I wouldn't want to be that organized and not mess that up. That was my bad. It was 7:20. Sorry about that.
No problem. What's the last break? What's the break I need to do it after, or the spot?
Progressive Insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, so about 2 minutes.
Those are the best. Is it Progressive? Progressive's the one that don't be your parents. Is
Yeah,
that right?
good, man.
Those are the best.
Just look this up, by the way. I had to look it up. I thought Craig was over-exaggerating. He is not. There are 18 wide receivers on the South Carolina roster. I think 5 of them are walk-ons. So 13 scholarship guys? That seems awfully high.
Does seem like an excessive number. Well, they took. I don't know what they did actually. I don't.
That's not counting Trey Atkins. I assume he's still a walk-on, even though he certainly contributed last year.
Well, does that count? Like, I think it's Chad Terrell still on the roster. Like, my goodness.
See that same class as Randrigus Davis?
No, I think he's the next class.
And Jen, I'll need to do a little recording after the show, if possible, for 0 res.
Okay.
Can you hang a few minutes?
Yeah.
All right. If we do that at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, when you get a break, I got to cut a spot for AAA Heating and Air. I already got the script. It's only about 23 seconds is what I think from Josh.
Approximately 23 seconds.
Yeah, something about a liner or I don't know. Let me know when we can do that top of the 8 o'clock. It won't take me long.
Yeah, we can do that as soon as you come in, or as soon as we come out at the top of this hour. 55.
I want to know, Brian, what was overrated about the Guinness in Dublin?
Kovar, what was overrated? Kovar's a beer snob.
Well, Guinness is, if you're not a Guinness person, then that makes sense. But Guinness is my favorite beer, so.
About 20 seconds, Tim.
But I've heard it is a lot different over there for whatever reasons. Like it just tastes different and not necessarily better from the
10.
if you're used to it over here.
That's right, Waddy. I get it 20. I get it one take.
Have you prepared for the weekend? Valentine's Day right around the corner. If you want to say I love you in maybe an traditional way, non-traditional way, outside the box thinking, especially if your significant other appreciate acts of service around the house, think about getting Zero Res carpet and air duct cleaning out to your house. You can schedule, you can book online, you can give them a call, nothing to it. It's ZeroResColumbia.com. Their number 803-262-4020. Zero Res has come out to my house several times, did a great job cleaning my carpets, cleaning an area rug for me, the tiles in both the bathroom and kitchen, and really impressed my wife with the results. It's not easy to do, and my wife, I know, especially appreciates a clean home these days since we have the three little ones rolling around. I was cleaning up spit up yesterday on the rug with the 10-month-old. I can't keep it straight. Yeah, 10-month-old is where we are. We're still 2 months away from a year. That guy's waddling around all over the place, so we got to make sure the floors are clean. Zero Res has helped us out, and specifically, Zero Res will do it differently than anybody else. Their patented powered water system, no harsh chemicals involved. That's important to us at my house, and also no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well, not just at your home, but if you're in charge of a business, the commercial cleaning division at Zero Res, working day and night, businesses all over the Midlands and following all the CDC guidelines in the process. $109 will get you 3 rooms of carpet cleaned right now when you mention me, Tim Hill. Again, that Zero Res number, 803-262-4020, ZeroResColumbia.com. Book online today. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Okay. All right, you guys are up. Okay.
Well, I'm hoping. Most mornings I would say Gamecock Larry likes to give us some stuff when he calls up because we're not talking about Gamecock football the entire 3 hours, no matter what day it is. That is Gamecock Larry's expectation. I get it, and I appreciate it. This morning, we did start with Tom Brady and his drunken shenanigans yesterday in the celebration of the Tampa Bay Bucks and throwing the Super Bowl trophy and the whole thing, and I'm sure we'll touch on that again. Somebody just sent a text in on that, Eddie, I think, saying it was hilarious watching Tom Brady stumble off the boat in the video and the whole thing. But Gamecock football, the main topic of conversation, and wanted to get our favorite 86-year-old caller's thoughts this morning, talking about maybe the quarterback situation specifically or whatever is on Gamecock Larry's mind like we usually do. Good morning, Larry. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Doing just fine. Good morning, Jim, Bill, Tim. Good morning, Jim, Tim, Bill, and Patrick.
I'm first.
Basketball season is, I don't want to give up on them, but I'm going to have to. Get them down on baseball and football. Now let's talk about this. Almost best help, Hill, and her rest of the year. Once they hired Bobo as a special coordinator, he didn't have a chance to be quarterback. The deal was made before Bobo got here. He played Collins, Hill, Richard, and Hill Messer made that deal. And for the first couple of days when Hill got Bobo got down here, he said, something wrong with let's do it this way. He didn't say too much about trying to improve this way. He got his Hill down here, and he was now the starting quarterback. Let's get a chance to tell on. That Any questions you want to ask me about this before I hang up?
No, I'm tired of the conversation. Let's move on. Yeah, we're not going to go down that path of what may or may not have happened with Helinski and Bobo. There's a lot that happened there, and we got to, Gamecock Larry, you got to focus on the future. We got to get you looking into the future again. You can't focus on the past, young man. I've got to get you focused on the future. We're trying to talk about the future. Don't you come in here talking that stuff about the past. You yell at us some mornings for what we talk about. I'm yelling at you right now, young man. You come in here and you talk about the future if we're going to talk. That's right. Good. There you go. Good. There you go. That's the Gamecock Larry I know and love right there. That's my Gamecock Larry. Attaboy.
Turn it around.
Wait a
Did
minute.
Gamecock Larry almost call Muskrat 3 separate times during that call?
Multiple times. There was a muskrat.
You had to stop himself and call him Muskrat. Every single time
He was going mafia style on him right there. He was just.
Let's move on to Frank on the Love Chevy phone lines. Also would like to weigh in on Carolina football, specifically the quarterback discussion. Hey, Frank. Good. Yeah. Thanks for the phone call, Frank. What do you got, Bill?
I would have to go back and look and look at the timeline. I remember, Garrett Trader got moved to wide receiver at Mississippi State. Mike Leach said he didn't fit his offense. I thought Garrett Trader committed to Syracuse kind of well before a lot of this stuff happened, to be honest. I could be wrong. We can go back and kind of verify that. But I feel like he was committed. I feel like he committed to Syracuse pretty quickly, maybe even really before Beamer was able to sit down and look at the roster. I want to say that was the timeline because I want to say Garrett Trader, I knew he was transferring, but it seemed like he committed pretty quickly. And we'll see here if we can get an explanation on that. Either of you guys got that yet?
No, why don't you check that in the break here? Richard says best 2 minutes of my life. Gamecock.
December 22nd. Well, this is the first article I see, so he had already announced December 22nd. So it kind of just gives you a timeline that at that point Helinski's still on the roster. Beamer's still trying to kind of figure out what he's doing. Bobo's still here, so there's a lot that kind of happened there. So it looks like Garrett Trader made that decision pretty quickly, and there wasn't really a time for him to be recruited.
Bun says calling Muschamp Muskrat is the best take of the morning. Gene says Gamecock Larry for the win on the live stream. Hope also weighing in. We all love Gamecock Larry. Yes, we do. Let you hear from Shane Beamer when we come back. Dramatic conclusion, hour number 2 coming up next here on the early game. It's 107.5.
This is South Carolina Women's basketball coach Dawn Stitt, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecock, WNKT at the Eastern.
Still got him going this morning.
Cool. There's a scalding hot take from Gamecock Larry there. I mean, that's the kind of hot take that you listen to, and it's so hot you got to go jump in the pool. But if you got a dirty pool, you're not going to go jumping in. You need to keep your pool clean, and you know what? You need to use an expert to do it. You don't want to have to spend the time and the hassle trying to clean your pool. You want to use it when you're ready to use it. When Gamecock Larry's got a hot take that hot, you need to be able to go jump in right then. That's why you need to use Corley Pool Solutions. 20 years of experience in the business. They understand what they are doing. And you know what? It's actually cheaper than you going to the pool store yourself and having to buy all the chemicals, putting the time in to get it just right. Corley Pool Solutions can do it for flat rate pricing, and that includes all the chemicals. That's right. That's a great deal. You've got somebody maintaining it, so when you and your kids are ready to use your pool this summer, it's ready. But you got to start now. Pool maintenance isn't just a summer thing. It's year round. You want that thing ready for the first warm day of the spring, of the summer, and that means starting your pool maintenance right now if you're not already doing it. Give Corley Pool Solutions a call, 803-445-8109. They've got a weekly pool service. They'll test the chemicals. They'll keep it balanced. Vacuum and netting, brushing, skimmer cleaning. They do it all. They're the experts in the business. Tracy Corley, again, has been around for 20 years doing this. You need somebody who's going to make sure that your pool is ready to use. Don't wait any longer. Give them a phone call today, 803-445-8109. Summer will be here before you know it. You want that pool ready to be used. That means starting today, 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions. Oh, what happened? How am I the only one still in the live stream? What just happened there? No, is the live stream? Did everybody get kicked off? Oh, there we go. There's somebody back.
Oh, Patrick just stepped away. So did I. Figure we give you the center stage that you always wanted.
I was reading the spot for Corley Pool Solutions. I came back over to the live stream. I'm the only one here. I was like, what happened?
Jetted on you. Jen, producer's choice on Beamer coming back. As are we, Michael. That first second of Gamecock Larry every morning usually tells the tale.
Yeah,
he sounded good. Nice work messing with him, Bill. We loved it. You hear him giggling over there? And then I thought, I thought you might have excited him a little too much at one point in there.
Gotta give him a little grief since he gives us grief for what we talk about. We gotta come back over the top of it.
He loves it. Waddy doesn't have much faith in you, Patrick, making it through the show.
No, I'm good.
He's strong. He's young and strong, like Bull. All right, Mark's it. I like Mark balances his bitter takes out with some good positivity every now and again. I appreciate that.
That's right.
It's the tone. You can never tell the tone on the texts.
Pebble Beach starts today, 1 o'clock on the Golf Channel.
Well done, Mark. Well done. Yeah, Pebble Beach, man. I will watch some of this just to see the scenery and to see Dustin Johnson tear it up like usual.
Yep. Get DJ back in the field today.
No Koepka.
No Koepka?
Koepka's out?
He's taking the weekend off to booze.
Well.
Wouldn't be surprised if he gets up with Tom Brady, huh?
Yeah.
Koepka don't need no Pebble Beach. He picked up Waste Management last weekend.
Call it Phoenix. Come on, man. Scottsdale, maybe? Call it Scottsdale.
What is this tournament?
I think it's AT&T, I believe.
AT&T.
Didn't it used to be Tigers?
Grove's line of plastic.
AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Isn't the AT&T what used to be Tigers at Congressional?
I think that was also one of it.
Playing Beamer right now.
Thank you.
If it opens up here, it opens up throughout the NCAA, all colleges. So we're hoping, but there's no question. We can sell this program in so many ways on Zoom, but to be able to get them on campus, be able to physically walk on the horseshoe.
We were talking about virtual visits here, recruiting.
Long football facility and all the other facilities that we have on campus. See this amazing city with their own eyes in person. We've got to do that in person for sure. The quicker we can get that done, the better for us.
Shane Bieber, Todd Ellis last night, Carolina Calls right here on 107.5 The Game. You know, it didn't really dawn on me. The absolute worst time to get new gleaming facilities would be when the NCAA
Yeah.
shuts down official visits, right? I mean, you talk about just bad timing, unlucky with a pandemic hitting and the whole thing. But Shane Beamer was on with Andy Staples, the Andy Staples Show. I guess they do basically a podcast there on YouTube, and he works for The Athletic. Andy Staples has covered college football for a long time and grew up in Columbia and has plenty of familiarity with the Gamecock football program, walked on at Florida and the SEC, so he knows all about it. But Beamer, I guess when they first started doing it, he had his virtual background up. They're just used to giving these virtual tours on Zoom these days. That's what he's doing, and it's something that every program's had to make the adjustment.
45.
But certainly not every program, Bill, had been like South Carolina and dedicated so much to resources and facility improvement, only to have it not be able to be utilized in what it was meant for at the time. Just another example of the uphill battle, the uphill climb that the Gamecocks have been fighting here the last couple of years, and now Shane Beamer kind of restarts it in that way. I'm sure maybe he'll have that much more appreciation for it when the COVID restrictions are lifted and you get to bring guys on campus here, hopefully soon.
Yeah, you're right. Not an ideal time for that need to get guys on campus, especially the staff.
Brad says, stop being a hypocrite, Bill, fussing at Larry about talking about the past. Hour 3 coming up.
Clear.
You mentioned talking about the Gary Joyner.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson pulled out this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Just because you won in Saudi Arabia?
That's what his agent said. Because he won, he felt it was best to hang with the family this weekend.
That is messed up. So he and Koepka just take their trophies and go home for the weekend, huh?
Sounds like it.
Opting out.
I would.
Patrick Cantley is the favorite, 15-2. Daniel Berger's 14-1. Paul Casey 16-1, and something called Wills Lalortis is 18-1.
Put my money on Casey right now.
Mickelson's 40-1.
Jan's got Cantley. Okay.
Where's Jen? Jen, are you there? You wanna try and cut this to AAA? You just got to send it to Josh.
Okay.
Will you mute it up, please, sir? On the live stream, let's see if he can go 2 days in a row. Oh, boom! He's got it. He's figured it out. Love the mocking applause from Jen.
All right.
You're only allowed to do that if you hit mute as well, Jen.
No. I want him to hear all of this stuff when I harass him about what he's doing.
Well, Bill's just going to charades. Oh, they both muted. What a professional production. That is an awful spelling of Schauffele, sir. I mean, could not be maybe the fact that I can even, I think it starts with an S. I need to make my attempt at spelling it as well. Let me put it, I'll type it in, Greg, just if I'm giving you grief.
I'm thinking Shauffle.
No, it doesn't look right. So that's Patrick. That's your spelling. Shauffle. Okay, I put that in. And then I'm going to go with how I think it's spelled. I put a U in there. No, a CH. So let's see how it's actually spelled. And we probably all get Xander wrong too. The X. Maybe the toughest name. So this new guy, Camu Johnson, I believe. Maybe you don't even spell his first name that way. Let's see. Schauffele. Full leaderboard. I don't think anybody's teed off yet. No, definitely not. Is it Neesmith? Neesmith's in the field. There we go. Get rid of that commercial there. Let's see if I can
there is a C?
I think so. Let's see what we got. It doesn't start with a C, but I think there's a C in there. Xander. And where is he from, too, by the way? Do we know?
He's American, right?
I think he is. But where at, you know? Is it Texas, I want to say? Jonathan Bird in the field. How about that this weekend? Nice.
Oh, whoa. This is way harder than he's from La Jolla.
He's from La Jolla, another really difficult place to spell. Kyle Stanley, DJ Trahan. Ooh, a lot of South Carolina connections in this thing. John Daly, Billy Haas. Sure. Mark Anderson in the field. Nice. And I didn't find Shoffley. Like a dummy. How's it spelled, Patrick? You found it?
Yeah, it's much harder than it's SCHAUFFELE.
ELE. So I missed it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Jan. Just working it out loud. Working it out loud. Yeah, Xander, you got that right. Craig with the X. Yeah, we'll just go with Xander, the X-Man. Mark added an X in the last name. It's a tough one, man. And
how did he fit the X in the last name?
Xander.
Oh, wow. Shofflow.
Shoffley.
That would be Shofflow in the old Cajun. So California, interesting. Where did he play in college? Does it say? Is that where I got the Texas? I think he maybe went to TCU or SMU.
San Diego State University.
Yeah, just making Texas up, aren't I? So that's where La Jolla is, right? Right outside San Diego. So he didn't go far at all.
I don't know. I assume it was either LA or San Diego. I know it's Southern California.
It's a fun little live video stream game. The Shoffley spelling game. Roethlisberger is always an interesting one.
I can do Roethlisberger.
Let's hear it.
ROETHLISBERGER.
Nice. The extra E and then
I know that one.
The N. So I would have thought we would have seen Roethlisberger celebrate like Tom Brady and not Tom Brady celebrate like Tom Brady.
I think Roethlisberger's off the wagon. Yeah.
Really? On the wagon or off the wagon?
Off. I think he's off.
I think you're on the wagon when you're not drinking.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he quit.
Seinfeld bit.
Yeah, I think he quit drinking along with other things.
All right, he's back and he's unmuted, folks. Watch out. Attaboy Bar's on the YouTube thingy, but texting us because he's figuring out he can't figure out the message thingy. Well done, Bar. If you pop up on the live stream video, you get extra points this morning. We played. Now you're a word nerd, Bar, so you would have enjoyed the Xander Shoffley spelling game we just played in the break. Waddy, I think that's a little unnecessary. But that's what I guess you can get away with on the live stream, and I will not be reading that one on the air, sir. Patrick, you gave the disappointed head shake. You're gonna be a great dad. You're gonna be a great dad, Patrick. You just
I don't know what I should say. The second one goes, he quit beating something else.
We're in the open, Bill.
Hey.
Wow.
And Patrick.
Just look it up. He had an addiction.
Wow, that's live stream content right there.
All right, you guys are up.
Spell Xander Shoffley, part of the live video stream shenanigans we just went with. Nobody got it right. It's very difficult. I guess Hope did put it up correctly, but I'm assuming she referenced it because that thing is very difficult to spell. I mean, just to get the first letter right on both of the names, the first and the last name, not necessarily easy. But he is or he is not in the field this weekend at Pebble Beach. Patrick, do we confirm one way or the other?
Oh, I didn't even
Bill,
look into that at
Bill,
all.
I think he came up because I think you mentioned him. Is that correct? He is in the field.
I didn't mention him. I was doing I was in the middle of cutting spots on the. So let's see here. I'll look real quick. Give me just a second. You guys kind of.
This came up because you mentioned that you're excited for Pebble Beach, and I said, "Oh yeah, Dustin Johnson usually dominates there, but he actually pulled out of the field this weekend." You update us on that. He and Brooks Koepka winning last weekend. Koepka in Scottsdale, and then Dustin Johnson over in Saudi Arabia, and that's the reason both of them gave, I think, for pulling out this week at the AT&T at Pebble Beach. And you're confused now, Bill, it looks like over there?
Well, I'm looking at the tee times this morning. Just a couple that Matt Neesmith will tee off. Obviously, a very good week for him last week. He'll tee off at 11:30 this morning. So I'm scrolling through, and I'm like, oh, Tom Lehman's in the field, 11:41. Okay, I'm sure he wants to enjoy the weekend. Scrolling. David Duvall. What's David Duvall doing in the field? Shouldn't he be commentating on the Golf Channel or whatever? Why is David Duvall playing again? He tees off at 11:41 this morning. That's what the confused look was for.
Well, John Daly's in the field. They got a lot of big older names in that way. It's a pro-am deal, so I think that's why. But also a lot of local names. Basically everybody that has the local connections that's on the PGA Tour or right around the cusp there. Jonathan Bird, Mark Anderson from the Columbia/Gamecock connection there. Who else did I see in there? DJ Trahan and Kyle
Taylor's
Stanley.
Where's Vaughn Taylor's from Augusta?
He's Augusta. Yep.
Okay. Yep. I'm just looking.
Interesting names to follow for sure. Won't be able to follow Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka on the golf course this weekend. But now that football season is over, certainly that jumps up in my viewing totem pole, sports viewing totem pole on the weekend.
I don't see Schauffele either. What a weird week for everybody. Is that because next week is the World Golf Championship, the first round? I think that's what it is. I think a bunch of guys they're gonna have to move this. No, the Genesis Invitational next week in the World Golf at Concession in Florida is 2 weeks away. That's weird that you have such a kind of a light field this week. Last week was a lot of fun. Last week was really that Justin Thomas. You don't see Justin Thomas's name in Pebble Beach this weekend. You don't see Johnson. It sounds like 3 or 4 out of the world's top. And Patrick mentioned no Brooks Koepka. You ever heard of that, Tim? Not having what maybe is 4 or 5 of the top 5 not in the Pebble Beach tournament.
Don't know if I have or not. I haven't paid that much attention to it. It's February golf, so it is not quite the same. Maybe it's a little different this year because the Masters was so much later. And guys' schedules have been shifted, and with the other tournaments coming up here soon, maybe they just saw this one as a good one to take off, or not, because Pebble Beach will beat you down a little bit. So
yeah, I'm just looking. Patrick Reed.
Understand it.
I didn't see Patrick Reed's name. He's number 10. DeChambeau is number 8. I didn't see him. Tyrell Hatton is not in it. I don't think I saw McIlroy either. Colin Morikawa, who's number 5, he's not in it. Schauffele, Thomas. I didn't see John Rahm in it either. I skimmed through very quickly, but I would say that 9 of the world's top 10 are not at Pebble Beach this weekend, which just seems odd given that is a tournament that has always been pretty prestigious to me.
So we do have golf on the menu this weekend, but that's
true. Justin Thomas is. Jan brings up a good point on the live stream. Justin Thomas is. I knew that because they talked about it on Sunday, but that's a good point. He's probably Justin Thomas attending his grandfather's funeral or dealing with that. I forgot about that last weekend, so that's a good point.
So the field not exactly star-studded for golf this weekend, and it's part of my transition for sure into just having football to go to on the weekends from a viewing standpoint on the couch and socially, to adjusting to the other time of the year. And that's where we are from that standpoint. Even though there will be some spring football, I get that. And somebody hit us up a little bit earlier on. We were talking about the first game of the year or week 0 in college football, Bill, and you were talking about that matchup in Dublin, Ireland, with seeing a couple of Big Ten teams now, Nebraska and Illinois, I guess, is the matchup, which is certainly odd for sure. But I think this is what we all go through, right? This time of year, we try to figure out how to adjust our lives back to the non-football. Even though there will be spring football this year, it's not going to be the same if you're not competing within the same season as you typically do, Bill? I know you said you're going to be interested and you're jumping all aboard the Citadel spring bandwagon or whoever you want to jump on, but I can't imagine it will be anywhere close to what we've been used to now for the last 6 months or so, I guess maybe 5 months.
As the weather changes, for me in particular, sporting events, being able to sit outside and have a cigar, maybe a little bit of bourbon on the weekend, whether it's watch golf. This is where I've gotten older. I've gotten more into watching a little bit of Major League Baseball. Last year was obviously a little bit different, but I will get into football now. I won't. It's not going to be something that like in the fall where I go out of my way to say, 3:30 game. All right, everybody, you got a little bit of food plan. We got to, here's what I'm doing. Be back at the house. But I'll be interested. It'll be something to keep on. If it's not an in-state team, I don't think I'm going to be that interested. I don't know. I know Deion Sanders is coaching a football team. I don't know when they actually start. I just know he's still doing Subway commercials. Are they playing this fall?
Jackson
For the
State.
spring? I'm sorry. Are they playing? Yeah.
I will get on that, Bill. Haven't been on the Jackson State beat here.
They are. Starts Sunday, February 21st. So next week, and they play Edward Waters. Is that okay?
Sure.
And then they've got it looks like the 27th. Oh, so they play Sunday. Then they play the 27th against Mississippi Valley. You got Shiloh Sanders. I guess Shiloh Sanders is eligible to play right now. You think?
Good question. I would assume if you get a free year of eligibility, why would you have to sit out if you transfer, especially?
So maybe I'll watch a game just to see them. But no, other than that, my only interest will be I'll pull for the in-state teams. It'll be neat to maybe get behind Furman or Wofford. Maybe I'll even solicit my fandom for one team and see who can recruit me the best over the next week and a half, and purchase a Citadel or Furman or Wofford shirt and go all in.
Wow, what an opportunity for those programs.
It is an opportunity, yeah.
Shane Beamer talking about the possible opportunity for Gamecock fans to get out and to see his team practice in the spring, and was open to that idea, talking about it on Carolina Calls last night with Todd Ellis here on 107.5 The Game. But it will depend on COVID protocols and the whole deal. That really got us into a larger Gamecock conversation this morning about where the roster is. The new spring roster has been put out. It has kind of rehashed the conversation about Dakereon Joyner and where his future will be. Wide receiver is the official position listed. So it doesn't look like he's jumping back in the quarterback competition like you mentioned you would prefer, Bill. Just would like to see that possibility there. The 3 scholarship quarterbacks now in the mix. Seems like Luke Doty has the advantage going into spring practice. Ended up the starting quarterback last year, the true freshman. But you got a transfer quarterback in Jason Brown coming from St. Francis who put up good numbers and has plenty of playing experience in college. And then you got a true freshman quarterback coming in Colton Gauthier, who put up big numbers in high school. We'll continue to break down maybe where we see that thing going, and how optimistic you are, I think, is about that position might kind of be a really good example or a sample size of how you feel about the program in general right now, and how you're hearing some of what Shane Beamer is saying, which we'll let you hear more of as we roll on. Some of the best of what we heard from Carolina Calls last night. Just getting going in hour number 3. Is Patrick going to make it is the question. It has been a question on the live video stream. It looks like he's perking up over there. Patrick, you good?
It was never a doubt.
I think you're dealing with the NFL hangover here, aren't you? The NFL season being done, before the ramp up on the draft.
Yeah, well, I got my top. I'm trying to get my top 60 down to 50, so I can have an official top 50. But cutting down 10 guys is actually the 10 guys I have to cut down is a very difficult task right now.
We are known across the country as the show who has the official top 50 of the NFL draft.
Everybody knows that.
A lot of shows, a lot of people, everybody. If you're going to be a real draft guy, you need a top 50.
I agree with that.
Everybody knows that, Bill. Come
or
on.
a top 100. I'll have a top 100 eventually, but I haven't gotten around to it.
All right, how can we help you, Patrick, with the just arduous task of cutting your top 60 down to your top 50? Can we do that this hour?
Well, you're going to need to be grinding film. Cut on the tape.
Yeah, we're not
Cut on
cut
the
out
tape.
for this. I got way more that I'm trying to do here than to help cut this thing down to a top 50, because I feel like our film dedication, as much as it may have lacked for Will Muschamp and what he wanted to do as a football coach, I feel like it is not going to even be close to what Patrick Perrette is going to need from us to cut this thing down from 60 to 50.
It's really simple. All you got to do is say, flip the hips a few times and arm talent, and boom, you're a guru.
Patrick
Kyle Trask might be on the borderline of that top 50.
Oh, he's making a move.
The arm talent's not there. Oh no.
The arm talent's there, just negative athleticism. Maybe the least athletic person I've seen play football.
The opposite of, what did he say, twitched up?
Yeah.
Exact opposite.
Yeah.
I do remember him. Was it running or scrambling and throwing for a big third down or fourth down play at Williams-Brice that helped turn that thing around?
He took a QB draw, like almost to the house, right up the middle, and it was just like, how do you let that happen? The man cannot move.
It's Patrick Perrette, harshest NFL draft guru out there. But
Top 50. That's rarefied air.
Oh, gotcha. I think what I need you to do then is to keep track of your top 50 and then tell me how many of those guys actually have good NFL careers. That's where the chaff guys just.
Well, I'm hoping that all 50 of my top guys end up being first-round picks.
I'm sorry.
Like not all the first-round picks end up being in my top 50 is what I mean.
Gotcha. Because that math did not work out the first
I
round.
was going to say, are they expanding the first round this year?
Doubling it?
Top picks. They're giving away first-round compensatory picks this year.
Nice.
Switching to baseball model, huh? 803-404-6100. If you would like to weigh in, you can call or text here. Hour 3 underway. It's the early game. It's 107.5 today. That was awesome. I'm hoping all the top 50 gets in the first round.
I just want everybody to be a first-round pick. It's not fair that everybody doesn't get to be.
You get a first-round pick, and you get a first-round pick.
They all try so hard. They all deserve first round.
Wow. Participation trophy guy. There he is.
I do really want the draft show to happen, and I want to have the board, and I want there to be like I would set the over-under at like 29.5 out of 32. Will I get that many of my top 50 in the first round?
I feel like the draft show is definitely going to happen. You're going to drive up to Rock Hill and hold Tim down and give him a noogie until he agrees to do it. So I would say that that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I'm all for it. It's going to be a blast. It might happen with me sitting right where I'm sitting right now, but it'll still happen.
Bill and I will be at a bar somewhere broadcasting it.
I mean, we technically – well, yeah. But no, the draft. When is the draft? Do you have the actual draft date?
April 29th.
Oh, that's the first Thursday. Okay, Thursday night. That could be an entertaining 2 weeks because you'll have the spring game on that 24th on that Saturday.
Ooh, yeah. I know that. Trask less athletic than Brady. I don't know if that's possible. Now. Trask is marginally more athletic than Brady, I would say. But I know that the ACC network is I'm bummed that I don't have it because they're airing the Clemson Pro Day. So all eyes will be on Clemson this Friday.
That's a good reason to keep your TV turned off.
Yeah. Well, I got no beef with Trevor Lawrence anymore. I can't wait to see him. Play in the NFL.
Can't wait till he cuts his hair.
Wow.
I don't think he will in Jacksonville. Maybe if he went to New York. Probably not.
I for some reason, I just have the biggest beef about his hair, that flipping around that.
It's almost going to fit much better in Jacksonville than it did in Clemson, though. Although it didn't match the uniform.
Can you do the hair flip one more time, Jen? How he does it?
It's like, this crap.
There will come a time in his career that he will cut it, right? How many years do you think before that happens?
Yeah.
Good question.
There's no shot he plays like a 20-year career and at age 40 still has that hair. There's no shot.
Why not?
I think so.
Why not?
I'm trying to think of any other quarterback that's done that. Tannehill cut his, right?
Well, but
Who's
he didn't
even
go to
had-
the NFL. He didn't go to the NFL.
Right?
Yeah, who in the NFL has had hair like Whitehurst?
Yeah, Whitehurst. Yeah.
What about Clay Matthews?
No, quarterbacks. Come on.
Yeah,
Get out.
quarterbacks.
We're only going quarterbacks?
Yeah, only quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, because it's out of the water. Anything but.
That's a great question, Patrick. You just hit our next segment for sure.
All right, and we're heading back in. So look at that magic.
Let's do a Beamer here, Jen, if you don't mind.
Okay. In particular.
34, please.
All right. All right.
And with great physicality, and that's what we're trying to get done. But I don't think so to the naked eye. And a lot of that is what those 15 practices during spring practice are for. Let's figure out what we do well, not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And let's figure out what our strengths are and find ways to accentuate those strengths offensively, defensively, and special teams. I think offensively, tempo-wise, you got to mix it up. I think when you go fast all the time or you go slow all the time, I don't know if that really gains an advantage either way. We want to be able to mix it up for sure. And then defensively, you got to be able to pressure. You got to be able to attack. And that's what we want to be about all the time.
Shane Beamer last night, Carolina Calls, right here on 107.5 The Game, talking about his possible offensive schemes or what the identity, I think, is going to be on offense is kind of where he was going on that. And Bill, you mentioned it. We got no idea. And I don't think a good coaching staff necessarily has it completely figured out at this point without having seen your players. I mean, you can evaluate it and you can watch the film and the whole thing, but I think if you're Marcus Satterfield and Shane Beamer, who will be in charge of this offense, you certainly have to be open to tailoring things, or I guess skewing the offense one direction or another based off of what you get in the 15 spring practices. And then obviously with preseason practice coming up, I think it would be a huge mistake if Shane Beamer says, yep, here's exactly what this offense is going to be. Let me tell you right now, because this is what I've always thought it should be. You're giving me a weird look over there, bro.
I'm just, as we talk about this team, it feels to an extent when you talk about the coaching staff and the new feeling of the coaching staff. We mentioned this earlier when you have just Justin Stepp and Torrin Gray as guys who've really been around the SEC in the last several years. Greg Atkins, the offensive line coach, certainly has experience. Shane Beamer has coached there, but again, you kind of look across the board, and it's a relatively new coaching staff to the SEC, to Power 5 conferences and everything that goes with that. And there's a feeling almost when you look at the roster, I know there are some good players on that roster. The depth is a major issue. But what I say is it feels like an expansion team.
All right, hold on, please.
And I don't know what to expect from them. With Mike Bobo, if Mike Bobo was still the offensive coordinator, we'd be sitting here today going, well, we know that they're going to run the ball effectively. I feel comfortable telling you that they're going to run the ball effectively. Had if he hired, I think it was, I'm trying to think, who were some of the other ones? Derek Mason. You could kind of look at what happened at Vanderbilt and say, well, this is what I feel is going to happen with South Carolina's defense. It like sitting here trying to discuss what the offense is going to be like. And I don't know if Shane is saying that exact same thing or if he's got an idea of what he wants to look like, what he wants it to look like. The other interesting thing is you've got two quarterbacks who I feel, based on tape, are complete 180s of each other, or complete opposite sides, right? Complete opposite sides.
180, right? Nice job.
Okay, yeah, I mean, they're completely out. You've got the runner and I think Beamer said this on I saw a quote, and I didn't know where it came from last night or on the Andy Staples show, but that he's got one guy who needs to develop more as a passer. He's got one guy who's not really a runner, but is more of a developed passer. Like, you've got completely different quarterbacks that you're choosing from right now.
You're talking about the transfer and Jason
Brown
Brown
and
Doty.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's what makes the spring so interesting with seeing what Marcus Satterfield looks like. Something that the roster came out, was it yesterday or on Monday? I can't remember now when they released the spring roster. One thing I think everybody will be happy. Maybe there was no word buck used on there. Does that make everybody happy that you didn't see the buck? You had edge position, but you didn't have buck. And looking at how they'll utilize guys, and if you'll see more 3-3-5 or more 4-2-5 or whatever it is you like to do. I think with Clayton White, you certainly can go back and watch the Western Kentucky film and say, oh, okay, well, here's what he did with that. Well, now what do you do with these players, and how do you tailor your defense to that scheme? And, Clayton White's been very adamant. We're going to play press coverage. We're going to play, that's what my guys do. Well, do you have the guys to do that? And if not, you got to recruit them, and you got to recruit them quick. You got to recruit them very quick and get them in here and have them ready to go so that your scheme is up and running completely the way you want it within the next 2 or 3 years.
And you got to not play press coverage if you don't have the guys. That's what always bugs me about defensive coaches versus offensive coaches. Offenses adapt to the players they have generally, and that's what Satterfield said they were going to do, whereas defensive coordinators are just like, this is my scheme and this is what we run. I don't care if we don't have the guys to do it. This is what we're going to do.
Well, listening to Clayton White in his introductory press conference, he was asked about his scheme and the whole thing, and he said the exact opposite of what you're saying, Patrick. He said, well, I think it's kind of ridiculous to give you my scheme before I've even seen the players. So there will be adaptability for sure. I think the issue that you see there, and maybe one of the reasons I didn't hear more from assistant coaches, like I remember Travaris Robinson, it was not before last season, but it was the season before. If J.C. Horn and Israel Mukuamu play well on the outside, we'll be a good defense. If they don't, we won't. Well, it turned out not to be a very good defense, but you're kind of throwing your players under the bus at the same time. That's the tricky part, I think, for a coach that is in charge in the first year while the roster is certainly in flux, because we got a text in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Raphael says, guys, it'll be devastating if Kevin Harris only rushes for about 550 yards and Marshawn Lloyd 300 yards and they're both healthy. That's the only position. We agree. There is one position on the roster right now for Gamecock football, and I never thought we would have said this at this time last year, where you have a proven production, and that's at the running back position. Assuming that Marshawn Lloyd is back 100% healthy and up to the level where his teammates were talking about him and his coaches were talking about him going into last season as being the most talented guy in that backfield. And then we saw Kevin Harris rush for more than 1,000 yards and be the first Gamecock back to do that since 2013 and Mike Davis. You guys with me? That's the one position on this year's Carolina roster where you feel like you have proven production and you feel like you have some depth going into the 2021 season. Yes?
Yes. Only one.
But we say Taylor isn't that exactly what Mike Bobo did? Tailored his offense to the fact that I don't know about these receivers, and they seem to know, or they felt really good about Kevin Harris. You thought you had Marshawn Lloyd, obviously that went downhill. But isn't that what the offense was basically tailored to?
No doubt.
People got really owed to him. People got really upset about Bobo being an offensive coordinator and not being creative, even though he tailored an offense to the talent he had.
Yeah, and I think people who understand X's and O's much better than the average fan could appreciate what Bobo, everything he was doing with the offensive line and with motion and the whole thing to not only get production at running back, but to also get Shi Smith to be as productive as he was at wide receiver. It's going to be really interesting to me as we continue to have this offseason conversation while we get to get word out of spring practice at least, or maybe get to see some of it, see a spring game. What other position will us from the outside feel kind of next best with for Gamecock football moving forward? It seems to me offensive line might be the position that's best in line. Maybe defensive line.
I think I've got the defensive line.
Tight end.
Defensive line. Tight end's good, but I'm going to go defensive line. If you've got on paper the recruiting that was done on the defensive line, if you're going to have 2 5-stars, if you're going to have a Rick Sandage who's a 4-star, if you're going to have an Alex Hunley who's a 4-star, I think that's the area that you look at. You've got Kingsley Ngare, who obviously I think he was a 4-star, but is had SEC experience and has proved he can play at that level. Aaron Sterling is a nice piece there. I didn't see on the roster where Brad Johnson was listed the other day. I skipped over him, but Brad Johnson should be there. I don't know if he's like a linebacker or edge, but you feel like your defensive line should be your next best position. Will they, or I don't? Yeah, I have no clue. That's on Jimmy Lindsey to make it work. But on paper, you should come out of the spring going, okay, I feel really good about our defensive line.
803-404-6100 is the number into the program. We get it back out to the Love Chevy phone lines. And Frank talking about some Carolina football. Hey, Frank. Oh, sorry, Sean. Sean is up next. My bad, Sean.
Hey, Jim, what's up, Joe? How are you? How is the crew this morning?
We're hanging in there. What about you, sir? Good to hear from you.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Dropped the kids off to school. Had to go run and pick up some Valentine's Day treats, so I'm in the car a little longer. Wanted to comment, wanted to say, isn't it refreshing to hear from Beamer? Like, we've gotten years of coach speak, and he is coming, I think, a little more honest, a little more transparent about things, and I like that. You know, he's like, all right, open up spring practice, whatever. I don't know what we've got. Let's go take a look. You know, like, we're all kind of in this thing together instead of, I don't know, maybe sheltering the players so much. I think, you know, for years they're like, oh, okay, freshmen can't speak, or they don't want to say anything stupid. I get that. But I think it's kind of nice. It's kind of fun to, here's a guy, you know, mid-40s or whatever, early 40s, and he's kind of like, where it's like, all right, this is, I don't know, I feel like he's speaking more to us versus talking at us. Does that make sense?
No doubt about it. And especially towards the end of the Will Muschamp era, it was difficult to understand or to parse what was reality and what was the spin. I mean, I think we all felt like it was 90-ish% spin there towards the end, especially. And having heard about his tenure at Florida, I think he was more open and more willing to be honest at first with the general public and media, and then he felt like he got burned a few times, and it got really closed off really quick, and that's how it was most of his tenure at Carolina for sure, Sean.
Yeah, it was just a good, I mean, like, just listening to him speak last night at Carolina Calls and everything, I was just like, all right, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I really feel like there's we're all in this together kind of thing. And I just appreciated it so much versus the last few years. It's just been so robotic, you know? So.
Yeah, you got Bill smiling over there.
Well,
you like that?
No. Look, I agree with what you're saying, but we all like what Will Muschamp was saying when he came in. And you like what a coach says. Like, I'm laughing. I started laughing because I was thinking, like, going back to a conversation we've had earlier today, going to the North Carolina game. Will Muschamp came into that press conference as confident and cocky as I've seen Brian Edwards did. Patrick and I think we're doing the show the next day, Tim. We were all doing like, yeah, all right. North Carolina, we're going to run that offense all over him. And then, what was it, about 6 o'clock on that Saturday night, we're like, wait, us Eskimos, this isn't ice. This is fake ice. We got so fake ice. Like, it was like, and at that point, that was, I think, when Will Muschamp lost a lot of people. But I also think it's revisionist history to say, well, we didn't like Will Muschamp speaking. We didn't like him talking when he was 6-16 over his final 2 years, and he had no explanation for what, or he had no explanation for losing. Nobody really cared for Steve Spurrier's this, that, and the other when the defense is giving up 40+ points a game and they're blowing fourth quarter leads. And it's going to be the same thing with Shane Beamer. We made fun of Dabo Swinney's all shucks, little old Clemson until they started winning national championships, and now you're like, oh man, what a folksy, neat guy over there. Look how I guess South Carolina fans still make fun of him, but that's if Beamer wins, it works. If Beamer loses, people go, hey buddy, I don't need all the sweetness and the niceness. Just win football games.
Wondered if Sean had a response to that.
No, I get it, man. But yeah, it's easy to, yeah, you're exactly right. Will, like when you're 6 and 16, like I don't want to hear about your defensive adjustments or playing the speed or up tempo or any of that kind of stuff. You're not doing the job. But as far as I think embracing the obviously he's embracing the Columbia community because he's been here before. But as far as like, all right, let's all come on board. I think he's playing all the cards right now. I think he's doing.
I agree with that.
Right now.
I agree.
Totally fair. Sean, good to hear from you on the Left Chevy phone lines.
Hey, see you boys. Be well.
Take care.
You as well. 803-404-6100 if you would like to weigh in. Need to take a quick break here. Our buddy Kerry Tharp on deck coming up a little bit later on in the program. Going to give us a heads up on the Daytona 500. Raceway president, longtime USC sports information director. I think Kerry would be really qualified to talk about what he's hearing from Shane Beamer, having been kind of that right-hand man to a bunch of Carolina coaches through the years, Brad Scott and Lou Holtz. So we'll do that as we continue to roll on this morning. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5.
It's a new year.
They're hungry, they're driven, and a new attitude. I want guys to be here, not just going out there to hire.
This isn't going to be the 840.
Last name.
It's not some retreads.
Is this going to be the 840?
I think we're ready to prove to people that we can do some special things.
Jen.
New attitude.
I do believe that things always get to
Jen, is this the 840? Okay.
I guess so.
Seth has been leading the way in Lifetime Sports and Hospitality ever since. Premier offers exceptional golf.
I was debating.
Yeah, I didn't know. I know with Kerry coming up here in a few minutes, I can do the sleep number at the end of this segment if we need to.
Well, and I'm kind of looking at, I may just try to combine these breaks and make it better. And that way, this is the last break. I think that's what I'm going to do, just so that takes some of the heat off.
All right. So when do you want me to do that? Do the sleep number?
Let's have you do that. After Gateway Supply, it's going to be several minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just going to be better. We're just running too far behind.
I just automatically combined the 6 and 8 o'clock hours every day.
It just depends how long, this is technically going to be about a 7.5 minute break, almost 8. I hate to do it long, but
I broke half the 20 breaks into the 10s and half into the 40s if possible. And a lot of 57s were not filled either.
yeah, if they're short enough. I've been trying to split a little more too, so I agree. Tim, I'm combining this break, so this is the last one of the hour.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll get Kerry on the phone here in a bit.
Ray, I think the wide receiver position is stronger than people realize. Ortre Smith is back, Josh Van is back, and we have transfers coming in who should be able to fill the holes.
Randrakis Davis is back again for the 9th time.
Ray, stronger than people realize, I don't think would be necessarily a tremendous compliment. But I think Ortre Smith is going to have to do it on the field in games to convince a lot of us that he is the player, more the player he was as a freshman than the guy after the injury, unfortunately for him. And then Josh Vann just hadn't done anything in his whole career. Anything.
He had a really good freshman preseason camp, too.
So I'm a games guy.
Oh. Well, if you just want to go by games.
And then I would have put Xavier Legette in there instead of Josh Vann. I think you can be much more excited about his future than you can about some of the other guys, just because I saw him do it in a game and catch a touchdown, I think, against Clemson his freshman season. And that was the best example of the frustrating part of Will Muschamp and how Muschamp was his own worst enemy, wasn't it? To hear Mike Bobo just come out and say, "Yeah, poor Xavier Legette, man. He's hurt. He can't do it because he keeps getting hurt."
Yeah,
why do you tell us that, Muschamp, man? Why do you make Gamecock fans like go against players and not? If you're supposed to be this player's coach, just let people know the guys can't do it because they're hurt. It's not the Stanley Cup playoffs, man. Is Davis the new Hunter Renfrow?
No.
You talking about Rodriguez Davis?
No, he's the new Jay Spearman. Sorry if you're watching, Jay. You didn't deserve that this morning. You're catching a stray bullet there, but
so I'm assuming that means just because it felt like Hunter Renfrow was in college for a long time.
Oh, maybe that, yeah.
But he wasn't actually in college. Wasn't he a 4-year player?
Yeah, I think so.
He didn't go 5 years, did he?
I don't think so. He might have, but if he did, those 5 years were a lot different than what we've seen from most people.
And he's going to have a 10-year NFL career as well. Make a lot of money.
Analogies are a tricky thing.
Yeah, that was a poor Jay Spearman, who was a great kid, did a lot of things, but there's no doubt that the physical therapy room, or the whatever you want to call it,
the training
room should be renamed the Jay Spearman Randricus Davis training room.
I've never heard of him.
I
Jay
get about
Spearman?
1 minute, Bill.
He was from Greenwood. He was one of the first Spurrier players. He was always in yellow. He honestly, I think he had when Jen? I'm sorry.
You got about 45 seconds.
After what am I doing it after? This
Gateway Supply.
Gateway. Okay, thanks.
Gateway's at 30.
Totally forgot we were doing the sleep number spot. Dude, the cat's up here. There's another cat that's like standing on my deck looking in my house like I have, and now it's just going to lay down. Just
the play-by-play on the cat is fascinating.
I mean, this cat has just plopped down like it's ready to enjoy the afternoon on my deck. Like,
it's heard about you.
Bill Gunter, cat hunter. Mark,
I better be ready.
Quick emoji, Mark. Impressive.
Oh, what an exciting show. You know what? I don't like to take credit for everything we do around here, but if it wasn't for a great night of sleep, I can't tell you that the show would have been this exciting. That's why with a Sleep Number bed, I help each and every morning show up and make this show what it is, because I show up rested, refreshed, ready to deal with my coworkers. I'm not angry at them. I'm not salty with them. I'm not like Jen and just in a bad mood. I am in a great mood because with a Sleep Number bed, I put the Sleep Number setting on 55 each and every night. Get a fantastic night of sleep. I am peppy, cheery. I am a thrill to be around each and every morning. You can be the Bill Gunter of your office each and every morning as well. You need a Sleep Number bed to do that. Discover the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed for proven quality sleep. Don't miss the President's Day weekend special. Save 50% on a limited edition smart bed plus special financing and free premium delivery when you add a base, but it ends Monday. You need to get to a Sleep Number store. 2 to choose from, one in Irmo across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other on Two Notch Road in Columbia across from Sand Hills Mall. You can also visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Again, discover the Sleep Number 360 smart bed for proven quality sleep with the President's Day sale, President's Day weekend special, where you can save 50% on a limited edition smart bed subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Be the Bill Gunner of your office. Be the happy, cheery person. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night's sleep is truly like.
We'll give you the full stage on that one. I'm going to keep myself entertained by plugging in graphics over you.
That'd be good.
No doubt, Ty. No doubt. Backbone. Here we go into the final segment of the show. And we don't do it with just the four of us, fortunately for the rest of you. And clearly Ty just said Jen's the best. She's the backbone of the show on the Facebook live stream there. Ty, no doubt.
Checks in the mail, Ty. Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
Ty Jensen weighing in. Thank you from Chicago.
Someone who helps Jen keep us in line and does it pretty much weekly through the years now. It's been, man, Kerry Tharp's been a friend of the show, part of the show now for years. And he joins us, the Dogs and Raceway president, former USC Sports Information Director on the Love Chevy phone lines now for the first time in 2021. Kerry, how the heck are you, sir? Well, let's start with part of our conversation, if you don't mind, Kerry. And a lot has gone down since really I think we talked to you last from a Gamecock football perspective. You having been a part of that program for how long was it, Kerry? How long were you Sports Information Director at Carolina? Wow. So 85 to 2005, that puts you coming in the Joe Morrison era, the Sparky Woods era, the Brad Scott era, and Lou Holtz, right? Well, I bring them up because we've been trying to put the Shane Beamer environment in proper perspective for Gamecock fans and to try to understand the dynamic. And what do you make of what you've heard from Shane Beamer? And maybe if you can compare that to some of the Gamecock coaches in the past and how they handled especially their first few months and kind of the message they were getting out to Gamecock fans. Can you take us back through your role? How did you see your role as Sports Information Director there with the football program, especially from my perspective, you're kind of the liaison to local media, and also you're kind of the right-hand man to the coach if he needs any kind of statistics or dealing in the media. Is that how you saw your role? And then how do you feel, how important is that with the head coach relating to the Gamecock fan base? He's former longtime USC Sports Information Director and now Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp. Bill, anything else for Kerry about the Gamecock football program specifically before we turn the page to NASCAR?
I've forgotten about Gamecock football. I was focused entirely on my NASCAR picks.
That makes sense.
Totally ready for the Daytona 500. Of course, everybody knows this. 2 years ago is when I had my coming out party. The Hamlin guy won the race, but this is where I had my coming out party by picking the correct winner of the Daytona 500. And last year, I got a little bit big-headed. Kind of was reading all the press clippings. Everybody was calling in to tell me I was the best NASCAR picker that they had ever seen. It was unbelievable what I was doing out there. Personal line, Jen. They don't call you. How would they call you to tell you how great I am? So anyway, I'm ready.
All right, let's get to it then. No, not at all. Well, maybe we'll give him first pick so he doesn't complain about not getting the first pick as we move on. Kerry, I'm wondering your thoughts just headed into this weekend and coming off of Jen. I know you're watching the Clash and enjoying the start of the 2021 season. How does this thing start with Chase Elliott coming off the big championship last year? Jen smiling there. Chad just commented on the live stream. Jen looks so bitter listening to Bill boast. Yeah, I'm glad you guys can see that. Actually, that adds an element to the this portion of the program for sure, where we always do our picks contest. Let's get right into it. Kerry, you're our guest. Bill, this is how we treat guests. We allow them to go first. Knowing that, Kerry, who's going to be your pick for this year Daytona 500?
Don't roll your eyes.
So that's a good pick for you. That's all I'll say. For you, that's a good pick. I'm proud of you. It's a good pick.
What a little worm.
Jen, you get next selection.
I didn't want Bill to complain, but yeah, I think one of the young guns is going to come away, and he battled pretty hard in the road course during the clash the other night. I'm going to go Blaney. Oh,
Bill's spazzing
that
over there.
makes me
Don't
so
act.
happy.
I was
Don't act
going to
like you're
start
picking
20.
Bill.
You know what? This is a shame. You guys do this to me. See, I was going to start 2021 by being different. I never take Ryan Blaney, but I love Ryan Blaney this weekend. Really thought he was going to win. You know what? Fine. I'm going to take the favorite. I'm going to go with the safe pick. Give me Denny Hamlin as we look to win it again. But I love Blaney this weekend and what he was going to do. Fine, Gen Z. You just once again, new year, same thing. We're holding a good gunner down. Hold a good gunner down in the NASCAR picks.
WLTX News 19 Sports Director Reggie Anderson will also join our picks contest. We'll put him out on social media. Okay, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is where he's going with. Hey, Kerry, great to hear from you, and appreciate you joining us, and looking forward to doing this every Thursday about 8:40 throughout the year.
Sounds great. Y'all have a great weekend. Thanks again.
Take care.
Darlington Raceway President, former USC Sports Information Director Kerry Tharp ends the show strong, unlike my words there. Thanks for listening.
Clear.
Right here.
Oh, Patrick barely made it.
This is the best Thursday I've had in a long time. I gotta tell you.
I like
hey,
Blaney.
Jen.
I was so excited. I didn't think y'all would take him. I was like, man, I'm going to be outside of the box this time. I almost with Kurt Busch too. He's kind of a longer shot, but fine. I'll take Hamlin. But I really did like Blaney.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's gonna be a good year for him. And I'm watching Matty D as well. De Benedetto.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think he's gonna have a good year.
Hey, Jen. Jim said we can't hear when people call in. I just crank the speaker all the way up whenever a phone call's on, and then just turn it back down afterwards. It goes through. It goes through easily.
Thank you. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, Patrick can now go to sleep. And we are going to get that show audio in. I think we had to order an adapter, basically, that will plug in. Hopefully we'll get that going here soon. But that's where we are on that. And, Patrick, congratulations. You made it, sir.
Thank you.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell your friends to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make Patrick happy.
What number are we at right now? Where are we at? How far?
261.
Oh, wow.
We're growing. Patrick's going to get to 1,000. He's got to hit 1,000. That's when he's jumping in the lake with Bill. They'll frolic.
Is that what it is?
Good news. It'll be the summer. It'll be warm.
I'll do the draft show if we get to 1,000.
You know what? I would be like, I'll get people from all over the country to be signing up just to get you frolicking in the lake.
Nice.
In a cold.
Got to do it.
Start your campaign now. Appreciate you guys listening.